You got it?
It's starting.
It's starting or it started?
Starting. And we're live. Sup, internets?
It's time for the Fantasy Football Guys, filling your ear holes with gooey, sticky football knowledge since 2005. Here they are, Lyle Conkeal and Kevin Moore, the Fantasy Football Guys.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We are the Fantasy Football Guys, streaming live on our own YouTube channel. Search for the Fantasy Football Guys there and you'll find us. You can watch it live if you want to, or you can watch it as a video, or you can listen to us on live stream. Not live stream, SoundCloud. Damn it, SoundCloud. And search for the Fantasy Football Guys there. You can check us out at thefantasyfootballguys.com, at TFFG on Twitter, and the Fantasy Football Guys on Facebook.
Right.
I didn't do the thing we usually do. I'm Kevin.
He's Kevin. I'm Lyle.
Yeah.
You know,
A little discombobulated. It's the holiday season.
discombobulated.
You don't like that word?
It's okay.
It's a good word.
It's all right.
So I'm rocking the Eagle Santa Claus hat.
I like it.
The elf cap, if you will.
It is very festive for this time of year, Kevin.
It is, and the Eagles have a very important game. Fletcher Cox guaranteeing a win,
Well,
which
we'll see about that.
Pro Bowler Fletcher Cox guaranteeing a win. What do you expect him to say?
It's irrelevant because they always say the same thing.
And
after the game, he'll say the same thing that everybody else says too. So it's like,
because usually when
it's
they
silly.
guarantee a win, it's generally a loss.
It's generally a loss,
except for that one famous one at the beginning,
right?
1969.
That time Babe Ruth called his home run too.
Yeah, well, I think that's more lore than
It is lore.
fact.
But I'm just saying, it's one of those moments, Kevin.
All right.
Let's talk Odell Beckham.
Why don't we talk Odell Beckham? Earlier today being Wednesday, of course, it came out on Twitter and other areas, other things like Reddit, that the suspension was overturned. And then a little later on, I was like, I wonder what the grounds for the overturning was. And then later on, I tuned back into Twitter and saw that it was upheld. I was like, oh, wait a minute. But the previous tweets had been deleted. So as it turns out, it has been upheld. And before the show started, Lyle and I were talking about, the suspension. And Lyle has good points, but please proceed with your
So here's the thing.
shitty points.
We see, wow,
Sorry.
it's not shitty. Here's my, listen, he should have been fined, totally.
Mm-hmm.
The refs should have been more actively involved in what was going on in that game.
Do you think he should have been kicked out?
I don't think he should have been kicked out of the game. I think maybe if I'm a Giants coach, I pull him aside and go, hey, knock it off. And maybe they did that, maybe they didn't. I know that the refs did speak to the coaching staff on both sides of the ball.
Sure.
And say, hey, this is getting a little out of hand. But I don't know how much further it went from there. There's some alleged, disparaging remarks that were homophobic. Like there's it's getting to a really dark place. Like they're fighting on the field.
Now Beckham says that he hears that word at him, spewed at him almost every week.
It doesn't surprise me.
And I have to imagine, that's a word that has been on sports fields forever. Now, it's a different world.
Totally. It is, and it's nobody's condoning it. And I imagine if somebody does hear it and can identify it, a flag will be thrown.
Yeah.
Taunting or, unsportsmanlike or whatever. But the point that I think here is that you're removing a guy from a game. And the shot was a total cheap shot. It was. It was a helmet-to-helmet spear hit. Totally agree. But we've seen them week in and week out here in the NFL. Sue has done it a million times. Offensive linemen hit after the whistle nearly every play.
I assume you saw the spear in question.
I did.
Right.
Yeah.
And
it's blatant.
He got pushed out of the play and came back and
yeah.
It was a blatant attack. It wasn't like in the flow of a game
Totally
or whatever.
was.
He actually came back to do that.
But I don't think it's a suspendable offense, and here's why. We don't suspend everyone else. for that. And now if the NFL says, now we're zero tolerance, anytime you hit after the whistle, you're subject to suspension.
Well, I don't know that it was after the whistle. I think it was still during the
anytime
play.
you have a quote-unquote illegal hit or cheap shot, you know what I'm trying to say.
Right.
So if that's the case, then okay, then he's suspendable. But if not, you have to apply these rules across the board. You have to. Or they become specific to the player or the situation, which is no good. And this is a league decision. This isn't an on-the-field referee in-the-moment decision, right? This is the league looking at the thing as a whole, which I think means they have zero excuses. Like, they have to get it right every time. And I think that if they want to suspend players, then they should do it every single time. If not, then they can't suspend any of them.
I'm sure there have been instances where, I mean, because during the flow of a play where a guy gets a late shot or a shot out of bounds, that sort of thing.
Yep.
I don't think that merits this type of punishment. But in that case, Beckham was pushed out of the play, probably unnecessarily roughly, and he turned around and came back, and it was blatant that he was trying to come back to do harm.
Yep. I see players throwing fists on fields.
Right. But the whole helmet-to-helmet concussion thing, I
With
don't...
the movie coming out now.
Yeah, I don't know that it's a suspendable offense, but I think since they came out with it,
Listen,
the appeal should have been upheld.
I'm not saying whether or not it should have been suspendable. He probably should be suspended for doing something like that.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. What I have a problem with is the fact that the NFL does not apply these rules uniformly. They just don't.
So
they come out to something that is big in the news, and then they do something about it to try. This is Goodell over and over again.
Right,
That's
the
what he
reactive,
does.
not proactive.
Yeah.
So tell me another instance, and I know it's going to be difficult off the top of your head, but where another situation like this, where a player was pushed out of a play, turned around and came back at a player, and went helmet to helmet with the guy not even looking, not in the flow of the play. Not an out of bounds, what's considered a cheap shot.
I can tell you right now that that's probably a difficult thing to come up with because it's such a specific type of event. And I mean, usually if you get taken out of a play, you're out of it. So
I think that's specificity, if you don't mind me saying that.
Yeah, fine. But what would happen normally is he would be taken out of that play, and then a few plays later, he might do a shot, right?
In the flow of the play.
Right. So we might see that and stuff. But, man, I mean, if you want to talk about dirty hits in NFL history.
Oh, they're all over the place.
I can go on and on and on and on and on. And not only that, most of these guys weren't suspended. They weren't. I mean, it was a big deal when Sue got suspended when he stepped on that dude's face. Remember that? Wasn't that Ndamukong Suh?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, remember? Was it Aaron Rodgers' face? It was Aaron Rodgers' face.
No, it was like the center or something. It wasn't Rodgers. Like, he stepped on Aaron Rodgers' arm. I think.
That's right, yeah. But that was a big deal.
Right.
And that was like blatant, I'm trying to injure you kind of thing. I'm not saying Odell's wasn't, but still, this is what we're talking about.
Did he get suspended for that?
He did get suspended for that game. I think he did.
Well, I think blatant trying to injure is kind of what they're looking at here.
No. I understand that, but he almost killed Jake Delhomme one time. Sue did. And it was just like a super dirty hit. It was personal foul, but I don't think he got suspended.
He probably got fined.
Yeah.
That dude's paid like a record number of fines. So, we could talk about this all night. But
James Harrison's done it. There's so many of them. We can go on and on and on.
Well, something always has to be first, and this may be the first one.
Well, again, you're right about the whole helmet-to-helmet, in this day and age of the concussion and all that kind of stuff. So
we used up all of our news segment time for this, but you know what? It's what everybody's talking about.
It's big because you know what? Next week's championship week, and people out there just lost the number one receiver in the NFL. Yeah. And by the way, I do want to point out that he freaking ruled the Panthers. I mean, he was just...
Well, second half.
Dude, he had him in the first half, too. He just dropped a pass.
Well.
I mean, it was damn near first play of the game. He beat Norman, like, badly.
Well, you would have to almost expect that because he knows where he's going, whereas Norman doesn't really.
I know, but still, everybody was like, "Oh, do we play him, Norman stuff?" No, you always play him. He's 1-year wonder, blah blah blah. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, I wonder the guy who said the words 1 year wonder. I wonder what he's doing now.
Eating them, I would imagine.
Yeah, probably.
Big bowl of spaghetti.
Coming up later on, Liz Loser from Yahoo Fantasy Sports will be along to talk to us. Oh, you know what I did? I didn't. I did do that.
You did what? Didn't do?
No, I have to open the actual show stuff.
Oh, you should open up the show notes. They help.
I opened them and then I closed them again.
I work hard on them every single week, Kevin, and you.
So do I. I work hard on them as well. I have to go through every game and look at new players. It's brutal. It sucks.
That sounds terrible.
San Diego and the Raiders will be your Thursday night tilt. It's Christmas Eve.
It is.
Christmas Eve game. Phillip Rivers, as soon as you count that guy out, he's going to come back and drop a real game on you and make you really wish you hadn't counted him out. 3 touchdowns, 311 yards. Now, Miami's defense isn't stellar, but this just in, neither is the Raiders' D. So, if you're in championship week and you have Phillip Rivers, I would not feel badly about putting him in. Raiders give up over 17 points a game to fantasy quarterbacks, so there's Phillip Rivers. Danny Woodcock, rocking the 3 touchdowns last week, 3 touchdown receptions. He was actually back. He had disappeared really from fantasy relevance for quite a while. 6 catches for 50 yards and 3 TDs. Only had 10 yards on the ground. It's a perfect Danny Woodhead.
But he had
game.
Another TD on the ground too.
He did. Yeah, it was like
4 touchdowns,
8 carries for 10 yards, but a TD. So obviously in a PPR he has relevance for you as well.
Well, if he's going to score 4 touchdowns a week, he has relevance everywhere.
Yeah, that's true. But his you obviously can't count on those 4.
But if he's going to drop a 30 burger on your bench, Kevin, that hurts.
Right. Yeah, he's definitely like maybe a RB3 or a flex that you want to stream in.
You want to stream him?
Yeah, I want to stream that dude in.
Pick 6 him.
Antonio Gates, also, it's a great matchup for him. Raiders are 31st against fantasy tight ends. And even though Antonio Gates only had 6 catches for 88 yards, it's still pretty good tight end numbers.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
In a PPR, you're going to love him. You know what? Derek Carr, it's a middling matchup for him against the Chargers. He dropped 2 touchdowns and 2 picks last week, 276 yards. He was a guy we consider cooling. And, in championship week, I'm not real sure I'd trust him, depending on what your other options are. He makes me nervous in a championship week. Latavius Murray actually had a decent game this last week. He got fed the rock seemingly more than usual. But it seemed more than usual, but it really wasn't. He's averaging just under 20 carries a game over his last 4. But he only had 22 yards. 78 yards, 22 long. Latavius Murray in this matchup, you know what? I don't really mind it. You know why? Because the Chargers still suck against the run.
They do.
Giving up almost 20 points a game.
They've been better, but they're still pretty good.
As a flex or an RB2 or 3, I'm in. Amari Cooper is back, averaging over 100 yards in his last 3. Thumbs up for him. Michael Crabtree, 2 TDs in his last 4. And, he's getting, plenty of targets. 6 catches last week for 70. Didn't get in the end zone, but a thumbs up for him as well. And that pretty much wraps up this game. It's there's plenty of guys to play, though, if you got Raiders or Chargers.
Right. Redskins, Eagles. I don't know why this was listed on NFL.com as next. I pulled the schedules automatically from there.
Right.
Because it's the Sunday night game or Saturday night game. So, maybe that's why, because it's Saturday night. Oh, so it is it's actually the next game. Thinking it's a night game, I'm thinking it's either Sunday or Monday. I don't think about Saturday that much.
Yeah,
who does?
I'm with you. I mean, you're a bozo, but I understand.
I am a bozo. Anyway, so that's irrelevant then. But what is relevant is Kirk Cousins, who, dude, I gotta say, in this matchup, I don't hate him.
We only recommended him one time this year, and
that was against New Orleans.
He's actually started to perform.
Well, he had a string of 4 games where he threw 1 touchdown each, right? But then last week he had another 4 touchdown game against a defense who's fairly good. Buffalo's okay. Yeah. He comes in against the Eagles, and last time he played against Philly, he only threw the 1 touchdown, but I think it's a strong possibility he could have more. So what I'm saying is probably not for your championship game, but in a daily format, DraftKings, I might roll him. He's going to be cheap, and it's a very good matchup for him. The running backs I really don't like, and I understand
The matchup is tasty.
that you might want to play Alf Morris in this matchup. Matt Jones is questionable with that hip. Excuse me.
Is there a belch
I
in
did
there?
burp a little bit. But the guy just doesn't do much. It gets the rock a fair amount, but he's averaging 50 yards a game over his last 4, and he's got just 1 TD in that span. Not sexy numbers, so he's a 3 or a flex at best, and we'll have to talk about it. Pierre Garçon is, of course, the person who lit them up last time. So against this 31st ranked defense against wide receivers, Kevin, I really can't sit Garçon. And I'm talking about him because Deshaun Jackson is a foregone conclusion
Yeah,
that
you
we're
gotta play
starting him.
D-Jax, yeah.
Right. He's just amazing, so we're starting him. I think Garçon is a guy you're going to start as well. And I think Jordan Reed, even though the matchup isn't good for tight ends, is a guy that you have to play each and every week.
That dude is matchup proof.
He is playing as well as any tight end in the league right now.
Yeah.
And that's just a fact. From the Eagles side, it's ugly. Sammy Bradford's not a guy I'm going to play. Has looked better lately, but still not a guy I will roll the dice on at all. DeMarco Murray's averaging 23 yards a game over his past 4.
He had what, like 2 carries last week?
Yeah, it's horrible. So not playing him. Ryan Matthews can look good at times. Not playing him.
Didn't
Darren
last week,
Sproles
no.
is pretty much the best running back on the team at the moment, but still can't play him. Doesn't get enough playing time. Jordan Matthews, let's talk about him.
I knew you were going to talk about him.
Because the guy has been playing better of late. In his last 4 games, he has 3 touchdowns, had a huge game against Arizona, obviously, targeted 11 times, had almost 160 yards and a touchdown. You know, he's probably the Eagle that I can get away with playing. And that is about as far as I'm willing to endorse him. Please avoid playing him if you can, because even though the matchup's good, the guy can vanish, and even when he doesn't and he's wide open, he will drop a pass. You know, the tight ends tend to do things at times. You know, Ertz had a TD last week. He's looked good the past 2 games.
Had 98 yards a week before.
Before, but I really think that you got to have a better option at tight end. If not,
You're probably not playing this week.
yeah, I wouldn't expect Ertz to continue that trend, because honestly, he vanishes from the offense from time to time as well.
Right. 49ers Lions. Let's talk about the 49ers. Now let's talk about the Lions. Matty Stafford, it's a good matchup for him.
awesome.
It's true. It's what it is, man. I have to imagine if you're playing this week, unless you're in a loser's bracket somewhere, you're not playing 49ers, just saying. Okay. Yeah, Stafford, 3 touchdowns, 254 last week against those Saints.
He's got 12 touchdowns in his last 4 games.
Yeah, it's true. You would almost expect him to do that against
The Saints, sure.
against the Saints. Questioning, though, why Calvin Johnson really wasn't targeted more than he was. By that, I mean really at all. I know that Calvin's a little banged up this year, but still, if he's on the field, you should target him
He
a
was
little.
banged up.
So, you know what? Matty Stafford is a guy I would play in this matchup, definitely. As far as the running backs go, maybe Theo Riddick in a PPR if you're looking for a flex. Amir Abdullah actually had a decent game this last week, but there's no trust there. Calvin Johnson still nursing that ankle. I still don't understand why he had 1 target for 1 catch and 19 yards last week against the Saints. He should have been lighting it up.
He was beat up, man.
Yeah, well, he's out there. He's playing. They're just not targeting him. I don't know why. Golden Tate, also a guy you can look at. Dude's got 5 touchdowns over his last 4 games.
Yeah,
so
huge games back to back.
two multiple touchdown games in the last 2 weeks against New Orleans and St. Louis, which is pretty good. So the matchup this week is also pretty good for wide receivers, over 21 points a game, almost 22 for fantasy receivers, gacked up by the 49ers. Eric Ebron, again, you probably have a better option at this point. He played pretty good last week, but still, I would not look for him to play.
Right. Steelers taking on the Ravens in what used to be a major matchup, not so much anymore. Ben Roethlisberger, great matchup for him, but it doesn't matter. Guy's matchup proof in my mind. He threw for 380 and 3 touchdowns against Denver. Yeah, he had 2 picks in there too, but played really well. So a guy that you have to play each and every week. Same thing for D. Will, dude. I know it's a terrible matchup. The Ravens actually have a very good defense against the run.
Greatest of all time.
The best running back ever. I mean, listen, it didn't have a great matchup against Denver. Still ended up with like 60 total yards and a TD. I'll take it. You know, I mean, the guy continually produces. Antonio Brown is obvious. Martavis Bryant is obvious. I think those are guys that you have to play. Where I get confused is Marcus Whedon, dude. Guy's got 3 touchdowns in his last 4 games.
11 targets last week.
Yeah, man. I mean, I think he might be worse in this kind of matchup because, the Ravens are dead last against wide receivers. He might be worth a stream.
Well, you know what? Chances are, if you have, you're not going to have Martavis Bryant. You're not going to have 2 of these 3 guys.
Right.
You probably have one of those.
If you
3.
have a Pittsburgh receiver or one of those 3 receivers, you play him, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you do too.
Maybe with Wheaton, you don't expect, wide receiver 2 numbers even, but certainly flex numbers. He's worthy of at least that, I think.
Sure. From the Ravens side, we're not starting a quarterback, so let's not talk about that. Buck Allen is somebody we're going to get a lot of questions about this week, Kevin, and it's a confusing situation because last week against KC, boy, did he look bad.
He did.
He's lost a fumble 2 weeks in a row. He's faced KC and Seattle and looked poor in those, and now he comes in against the number 2 ranked Pittsburgh Steelers against fantasy running backs, giving up just over 10 points a game. I really can't recommend the homie.
Dude's only had 32 yards rushing in his last 2 games.
Really can't recommend him,
What are you
dude.
going to do?
You know what, though? I can recommend is Kamara Aiken. 30th ranked defense Pittsburgh is against wide receivers, 26.6 points per game. Really love what this guy's doing. Scored last week. Had a huge game against KC. 12 targets, 8 catches, $128 and a touchdown. Has played well in the previous 4 or 5 games. I think I'm going to give him the nod, and that's pretty much it from the Ravens.
He had a nice, touchdown, like a, Hail Mary type touchdown last week.
Yeah, they always help.
They don't hurt. Cowboys, Bills, obviously, is it Castle? Is it Kellen Moore? I don't know. Probably going to be Kellen Moore because the season's pretty much over. It doesn't matter. You're not playing him anyway. Darren McFadden was actually one of my highest scorers last week on a losing effort.
That's sad for you.
It is, dude. He's over 100 yards the last 2 weeks. Hasn't gotten into the end zone in 3 weeks, but he catches a couple passes here and there as well. He's at least flex worthy against this Bills team who gives up over 16 yards a game to running backs. I would definitely flex him in. Really, from the receiver side, it's hard to sit Dez Bryant. It's a good matchup, but he's just not getting thrown the ball.
I mean, with this quarterback situation the way it is, dude, I mean.
Yeah, it's hard to trust. He was targeted 9 times last week, had a touchdown, only had 50 yards, hasn't had a 100-yard game since November 8th. Feel free to pine him. You're looking for points, not names, right? Cole Beasley dropped a couple first downs last week. Loved watching that. From the Bills side, Tyrod Taylor, dude, if you've ridden him this far, I'd keep on riding him. Not the best matchup in the world. Cowboys are number 9 against fantasy quarterbacks, only 14.5 points. But he's a dual threat, throwing and running, so I would definitely keep him in. Shady McCoy, I know he had issues, and he left the game last week, and Mike Gillislee came in and actually had a decent game.
He was good.
Right. Carlos Williams, he showed up a little bit. But when I say showed up, he was in the game. He didn't actually show up. He only had 41 yards. But here's the thing with this trio of guys. If Shady McCoy's playing, I would definitely play him against this matchup. Almost 20 points a game to fantasy running backs cough up the Cowboys. If he's out, I might consider flexing Gillislee. The Bills are a team that runs the ball a lot, and if it's not Shady, it's going to be Gillislee.
Right.
So, I would look at both of those guys. That would be Williams and Gillislee.
Sure.
It's tough to want to trust a guy named Gillislee for your championship, but you have to put players out there, and this is a good matchup. Sammy Watkins, obvious, and that's pretty much it.
He is really obvious. Sammy is. He's been playing extremely well.
Averaging 115 over the last 4. That's
that's
the definition of obvious.
Yeah. Speaking of obvious, Jay Cutler is an obvious sit. Just, implodes on the regular. So hopefully you don't have to start him. Matty Forte, Jeremy Langford situation's much more confusing.
Matty Forte wants to stay in Chicago. He says he would be willing to listen to a hometown discount.
Yeah.
To stay with the Bears.
Yeah. did catch a touchdown pass last week. Now he's facing the 7th-ranked Buccaneers run D. It sounds weird to say it, but it
I
is
know.
true. So I think you have to play him. Langford, I think you have to sit now. He's getting some looks. He's catching some passes, but
Not enough.
just not enough to warrant a continual start. Same thing with Jeffrey. He's an elite receiver when he's good, right? Last week he did catch a touchdown pass against Minnesota, but he caught one pass on 5 targets for 10 yards. Guy got you 7 points, 8 in a PPR. I need more.
That
than
ain't enough.
out of my guy, and I think that not that you would automatically sit Alshon Jeffrey, but I think that you have to consider him one of those guys that you can swap in or out. Zach Miller's the tight end that I would play. There's no doubt about that in my mind. Played well last week despite not catching a touchdown. From the Buccaneers side, it's a little bit more confusing. Winston is a guy who plays so well against bad defenses. I almost want to stick him in here.
In the championship week?
Well, I mean, let's say you're in DraftKings, right?
Right.
Something. Dougie Martin's the guy we're playing. Mike Evans is the guy we're playing. That's obvious. Vinny Jackson probably stay away from. Really love Safarian Jenkins, and he did catch a touchdown pass last week. But again, he had 29 yards.
You know what I'm going to love him?
I'm gonna like a trust.
I'm
Next
going to
year.
love him next year.
Yeah, I think he's a great tight end draft next year. Probably get him in the 12th round or something.
Certainly late, to be
Yeah.
sure.
So that's that
Panthers, Falcons. Yeah, this is a divisional tilt. It's a
Yeah.
conference tilt.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the Panthers care. They've already locked up first round bye and home
So,
field.
Yeah, but they don't have the first. They don't have the first. The number 1 overall.
They haven't nailed that down.
No, so they're either number 1 or number 2. Yep, that's true.
Cincinnati's like right on their heels, right? I'm sorry, they're AFC. Who's right on their heels?
It's Green Bay,
No,
right?
No.
Is it Green Bay?
I think Panthers will
Wait a
walk
minute,
it up.
hold on. They haven't.
They're undefeated.
I know, but I was just watching. I was just watching this morning, and they were talking about why the Panthers wouldn't sit anybody this week because they haven't locked up the
Home
number
field
1
all the way through.
the number 1 overall seed.
I would love to know who's
I'm trying to effort it right now.
if somebody has 12 wins.
The Cardinals do.
There you go.
There you go. It was Cardinals. Sorry, it wasn't Green Bay. It
Yeah,
was
that
Cardinals.
does make sense. The team that just kicked the bejesus out of the Eagles.
Yeah, so the
Anyway.
Cardinals are 12-2, and obviously the Panthers are undefeated. So if Carolina loses this week and the Cardinals win, then it will come back. It will come down to week 17. Who that will determine the number 1 overall seed. So I think you can safely play your Carolina Panthers this week. Is my point.
I think you can. And I'm not sure that Ron Rivera hasn't said he's going to rest guys, but that almost never works out.
It almost doesn't. And I would. He was a former player. I mean, they want to get that undefeated, kind of label and go through. Obviously, and never lose a game.
Drink.
But yeah, sorry guys. But I think more importantly, they really want the number 1 seed. So they're definitely not going to rest players this week.
I don't think so.
Now, Jay Stu, I think, is a guy that they may rest.
Hey, there's Liz.
Oh, okay.
So before we get deep into the Panthers, Liz Losa from Yahoo Fantasy Sports. How you doing?
Hey, Liz.
I am good. How are you guys? Happy almost Christmas.
Happy almost
Happy Christmas
to you.
Eve.
Eve.
Yeah. Hello.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for the popcorn goodies.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying not to eat those things, but I'll dive in for like a single piece
I'm going to eat it all.
here and there.
Whatever.
Trying to be good, but it'll last. It's good.
Yeah.
Something
Good.
come.
I'm glad you guys liked it. Well, thank you for always having me on and listening to me blather for another season. I appreciate it.
What are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, something's coming your way as well. It was supposed to be delivered today, but somehow FedEx screwed the pooch, and you should get it tomorrow.
Wow, you guys! I'm like literally, I'm flustered and flummoxed and shocked and appreciative. That's exciting. I never. Now that I have a 2-year-old, like nothing shows up at the front door for me other than like toilet paper and tampons.
Yeah,
Like, that's all I get.
We got the Amazon mom too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, it is awesome, dude.
Toilet paper and tampons.
I mean, they send everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, Yeah, we get
I've done
razors,
everything
batteries.
but Amazon food. That's the only thing I haven't gone that far is to get the groceries.
Well, we
yet.
have a local grocery store that delivers to our house, so that's pretty sweet.
Yeah.
You don't have to do anything.
Who's that?
It's ShopRite.
Oh,
right
does-
down the road, yeah.
Nice.
Early 96. Yeah, dude, to never have to go grocery shopping. And not only that, you can auto rebuy. So the only reason to go in and actually change things are like if you have a coupon for something or something.
Right.
Otherwise, you just roll in and go, yeah, give me what I had last week, and click a button, and they bring it out. It's $5
Wow.
for them to
That's
bring it to your
awesome.
house. It's $5.
And it's already like packaged. For
Yeah,
you?
it's in the bags and everything.
We're gonna have to talk about
Eggs
this.
on top. It's
gonna-
amazing.
I mean, also, when did we get this lame that like it's ecstasy to think that I could walk into the grocery store and for $5 they just hand me the goods?
You don't even have to go to the grocery store.
Yeah,
You
they
just-
bring it to your house.
You go online.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, you
I
go
thought you
online.
just go to the grocery store and they hand you everything. You don't. Oh my gosh,
No.
online. So at your doorstep.
Yeah, they just bring it. They bring it right to your house.
It's like
and
groceries.
not only that, they carry it inside, put it on the kitchen counter.
No way.
Yeah,
How good looking are they? Is it getting even that much better?
I mean, you know, I'm not one to judge people based on just looks, Liz, but the people that have been coming have been pretty hot.
Of course, Lyle answers the door
Really?
naked.
Yeah, and most
So
of them
maybe
male.
I could have my own little episode of Red Shoe
You
Diaries. or
might
something
a little
with the grocery
grocery
delivery.
boy. Yeah,
Boom,
man.
chicka, bow, wow. Chicka, bow, chicka, bow, wow.
Wow, how did we get on this topic?
Because we're
I
us.
have no idea.
Yeah.
It's 2 days before Christmas. We are still working nonstop, and
Yeah.
I might have had some eggnog already.
All right.
Nice. All right, so it's championship week, Liz. People
you
have
got?
been winning their
Gotta dig
games
it
on
deep.
you all year long. So people are clutching their iPods right now, wanting to know what you're going to say.
Well, first I wanted to say how sweet was that Kenny Britt touchdown just a few weeks too late.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I thought against Baltimore. But indeed, they connected. It was Tampa Bay. Fine, I'll take it. That did, in some weird way. Well, it's nice when you get the process right. You know, like even if
Right.
you didn't line up that week, you were like, yep, I knew enough about football that those stars
Yep.
would align, and indeed they did. So,
Called it just a
um,
week too late or whatever.
Yeah, 2 weeks too late.
2 weeks.
And, Keenum was concussed and all of that stuff, so I'm just going to... He's not as bad as he looked in that game, at least.
You could chalk that one up in the win column, I think.
Sure.
Let's get greedy. I mean, I've had plenty of misses as well, so... all right, here we go. This week, I've got I feel like running backs are all over the place. I'm not going to talk about Cameron Artis-Payne because I think he is, even though he's not widely owned and he's a nice value in DFS, I'm assuming most people are already on it, right?
Sure.
So let's stay off of him. Rashad Jennings, though, is, New York's backfield has been a headache since the beginning of the season, but I'm not entirely sure whether it was because Orleans Darkwa was out last week and maybe a little limited the week before, but over the past 2 weeks, Jennings has had both more than 15 touches and more than 100 combined yards. So it looks like it's taken 3/4 of the season, but the Giants are finally figuring out who their lead back is going to be. That's nice. And, to rush for 100-some yards against Carolina's run defense, which I believe was last week's matchup. That's right. That's saying something, right? Because they have a pretty good. They get 107 yards and a touchdown against Carolina. That's not nothing.
Right.
He's got Minnesota this week at Minnesota. So the Vikings have been really good against the run. Earlier in the season, Linval Joseph was just destroying opposing backs. Anthony Barr was adding to the chaos, but those two guys have been injured. Now, Joseph is back at practice this week, but even if he plays, he's definitely not going to be 100%. So I think Rashad Jennings is an interesting play. He's only $14 in the Yahoo DFS, owned in under 50% of Yahoo leagues. Here's the other thing. So no OBJ, probably going to see a lot of stacked boxes, right? But also really likely to be leaned upon heavily. And it's not like the Vikings are a team that comes out and scores a bunch of points through the air, though that could happen against this Giants secondary. I don't know how much I believe, Coach Zimmer said that he was going to continue to rely on the run, et cetera. But regardless, it's not like this is a high-volume passing offense, so New York is going to have to make up a lot of ground, and Eli's going to be forced to throw it to Reuben Randall and Dwayne Harris. He can still, I think, lean on some Vereen, lean on some Jennings heavily. So there should be enough volume there.
Will Ty's been playing well.
Yeah, Will Ty's been good, especially for a rookie. He's been seeing a lot of targets, but I still think Jennings, if you're looking for an under-the-radar running back, and a lot of people are just like, oh, I don't touch the Giants' backfield. It's a disaster. I don't go near it. But when you dig deep, like maybe this is an opportunity that you can use one of these guys. So I like him. I like Marcus Wheaton a lot.
Yeah.
He's got Baltimore this week. He has I think 3 touchdowns in his last 4 weeks, and Roethlisberger is just throwing the ball. Since returning from their Week 11 bye, Roethlisberger has completed the most passes and for the most yards of any other quarterback in the league. This offense is absolutely humming.
Yeah, Kevin was just saying that last week when we had the call-in show. We were debating on whether you start him against Denver or not. And Kevin's whole point was you can't sit the guy. I mean, the dude just he throws touchdowns constantly. It doesn't matter who he plays. So is he matchup proof? Is he not? Yeah, I don't know, but I know that the dude he's chucking and not ducking right now.
And he's not giving up.
Wow.
Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just when you have, so you definitely, everyone's in agreement that you want a piece of this offense.
Yes.
Antonio Brown is $20 more expensive than Wheaton in DFS.
Wow.
So if you would like to own a piece of it at a reasonable/cheap price, then Wheaton is your wide receiver 3. I have him locked in as a wide receiver 3 in DFS as well. And then let's see, let's do 2 more. James White, I think, is interesting.
Yeah,
I know when both of you guys were on the X's and Y's podcast, we talked about the riskiness of starting any New England running back. But I predicted that White would score against Tennessee's secondary through the air because Julian Edelman was out another week. Now Amendola's banged up, and Edelman is expected back, I believe, in week 17. So we've got 1 more week. And when you think about how to beat the Jets, their opponent this week, it's like short passes underneath. That's how you get the Jets. And so I have to imagine that that's going to be where White continues to excel. He's not Deion Lewis, but he's the closest approximation that this team has right now. And so the fact that they aren't necessarily as deep in talent makes them a little bit easier to project than in previous years. And so I would roll with White.
I don't know. Steven Jackson's in town now.
Yeah, that could get interesting there.
That's true. He did look like a beast in that photo he posted on Twitter.
I mean, the guy just stays in amazing shape. The thing is, though, if they use him at all, he's going to crack like an egg the first time he gets hit.
Right.
He's always hurt.
He's going to hurt his hammy or his Achilles,
Yeah,
guaranteed.
he's just always hurt. So I really don't think he's much of a threat.
Style,
yeah.
That violent upright running style. And I think they added him, and you never want to be arrogant enough to assume you know what the genius is thinking, but they're obviously displeased with Bolden and their rushing, their bruising options. So I have to feel like Steven Jackson was mostly added for that reason than his ability to catch passes out of the backfield.
Right, obviously, yeah. And now that Blunt is out for the season, they need somebody to get that 3rd and short,
Still, Bass Jackson's a good receiver, man. He is.
Didn't he catch 100 passes one year?
Something like that. He's a real good receiver. No, I don't think he caught 100. He caught a lot, but was it really? No, it couldn't.
I'll left for you while Liz gives us number 4.
Anyway, go ahead, Liz. Sorry.
All right. So the last one, and this is the deepest one, and I'm going to say right now this is more of a keeper or dynasty ad. It's Jalen Strong. He has only caught, I think, 6 balls this season, 3 of them in the end zone, and both of those times that he scored have been against the Colts. So I don't know if that's just some weird fluke. But listen, Nate Washington is 32 years old. Cecil Shorts can't stay healthy. They need a receiver to develop opposite DeAndre Hopkins. His matchup this week, he's got, I think, Tennessee this week. Is that correct? Houston, Tennessee? Or does he have... Let me.
Yeah, they play Titans play the
The
Texans.
Titans, right?
Yeah,
So they've got the
yeah.
Titans this week, and they've got the Jacksonville. That's right, Jacksonville next week, the 17th, week 17. So that's two great matchups, two thin secondaries. He's definitely, you can't deny his end zone appeal, and so I think he might be a prospect. He's $10, which is the minimum price in Yahoo DFS. Definitely risky. Not going to deny it, but also someone that I like. If he starts to make some noise over the last few weeks of the season and some easy matchups, I can see his draft price going up into 2016.
Wow.
By the way, just for the record, Steven Jackson caught 90
It was
passes
90
in
passes
2006.
He
Not
ran,
138.
He ran for 1,500 yards that year, caught another 800 yards worth of passes.
That's pretty good.
Kevin and I were talking. Dude would have been a clear Hall of Famer if he'd have been on a better team.
Yeah.
And could stay healthy at all. I mean, it's not even close. It's a shame. I hope he wins a Super Bowl, but just not with New England.
There we go.
All right, Liz.
So those are my four.
Those are good four. That's a good four.
Yeah, I like it.
Like it a lot. So
Thanks. Oh, you know what I don't like a lot? Lamar Miller and Mojo ruining my chances at a TFFG Super Bowl
wait, did Mojo take you out?
by like 3 points. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Wait a minute, Mojo's in the championship?
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that was his team.
Wait a minute, Mike is in the championship of our dynasty league?
Do you know how he did it? He did it on Danny Woodhead's fluke when Melvin
4
Gordon
touchdowns.
got injured.
4 touchdowns from Woodcock.
And I still only, even despite the fact that I had Tyler Eifert benched, I plugged in Ben Watson at the last minute over him. I had Lamar Miller. I have and Giovanni Bernard, and I still only lost by like 3 points.
Dude.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't realize that was his team
dumb.
because you never like I don't pay attention to who owns them really. I just know the teams by who they have on them and what they're doing.
Right.
I don't really pay attention to who's who.
I know who Liz's team is and yours.
Yeah, right.
But,
Me
yeah.
too. Yeah.
But yeah, Mike is in the championship last year.
Wow.
He was like
That's
awful.
how fast it can happen, though,
Dude,
pal.
his team sucked. His team
Apparently not as much as
absolutely
yours
sucked.
does, Liz.
My team is awesome. You know who's not awesome? Zach Taylor, who said, "Meh, I don't care if Lamar Miller has a bruised thigh. He's still going to be effective. Leave him in there. Put some ice on
Oh,
it."
no, that's what they do with Lamar Miller. You don't realize? They pull him out of every situation. They don't run him at all.
Yeah.
I mean, against the Giants, he had 70 yards and 2 touchdowns in the first half.
In the first half.
And then he had 2 carries in the second half.
Yeah, no need to run him at all in the second half.
Yeah. Dicks.
Dix is right. That's it. D-I-C-K-S. Dix.
All right.
I hope they eat a bucket of them.
Wow.
A bag of them.
And Liz says, eat a bucket of dicks, Miami Dolphins.
And that's your Christmas wish
Yeah.
from Liz Losa, Yahoo Fantasy Sports.
Wow.
Actually, you said it on TFFG, so Liz
Yeah.
Losa, Fantasy Football
Thank you.
Guys.
Yeah, that's not
Let's make
associated.
that correction.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because the other may have ramifications.
Yeah,
You say it on here, it's all good.
Don't worry. Nobody's going to listen to this damn show
Yeah,
anyway.
nobody listens.
Yeah.
Liz, any plans for the holidays? Are you staying home? You traveling? What are you doing?
Yeah, drinking heavily. Staying
Nice.
home.
Starting now,
Drinking
apparently.
heavily.
Yeah.
Indeed. I'm a little bit nervous. Like, I worked out yesterday, and then today I was sort of like, why am I bothering? Who cares? Let's just, let it all go.
Let's start baking cookies and drinking wine.
Well, that's what the holiday season is for. That's
I've
why.
lasted this long.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, man. You
Yeah.
wake up New Year's morning, or New Year's Day morning, and you go, wow, I've really fucked up my life. It's time to make all these affirmations and
That's why gym memberships
Right.
quadruple
yeah, that's what you do.
for the first 3
You
days
just
of the new
screw
year.
up through December, and then in January you fix everything.
Yep.
Otherwise, life would be really boring.
I agree. You've got to enjoy it. It's December
right.
23rd. I was like, I'm
Yeah.
I'm giving myself a little bit of extra leash here to play with. So 2 days before Christmas, I'll enjoy.
Although I worked out today, so
I went out for lunch.
Congratulations. Oh, by the way, how did you enjoy the new Star Wars? I'm assuming you've seen it.
Oh
3
God.
times.
Okay, so not to spoil, because some people out there still haven't seen things because they're terrible fans. But it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's a great way to reboot.
Yeah. It is. It's a
I
great,
did
it's a
not
great film.
see it. I will admit I didn't see it, but I do know the spoilers because I wanted to know enough to be part of the zeitgeist, but I didn't want to spend 2 hours watching it.
Why? Oh, Liz, you called into
I
the
just
wrong
don't
show to say
care.
something like that. Oh,
I know.
crushing me right now,
I get
Liz.
it.
Please stop.
I want to see Sisters with Amy Poehler and Tina
Oh my
Fey. Like,
God.
I just don't
Click.
Yeah, you make me want to step in front of a train. What is happening?
Yeah.
The first time I met you, I was wearing a Star Wars shirt.
Like, I totally understand it. I appreciate what I'm a little bit younger though, so like when it came out, I wasn't born yet, and so
I understand.
I was a
born
little
either.
bit too young to understand it, and then when I rewatched it, I was just like,
Yeah.
so you're kissing, but your brother's sister? What's the deal? Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
Here's
Well,
the
they
thing.
didn't know they were brother sister.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it felt weird.
So it's not that weird,
You know,
you know.
it was just a peck on this.
It reminds me of something I saw on Reddit, man. Somebody posted a picture, like it was a chick posted like a selfie and stuff, and it was like on Facebook.
I saw
And then
this.
did you see it? And the first comment was like, "Man, if I wasn't your brother."
Yeah,
I was like, wow,
that escalated quickly.
wow. Yeah, West
Liz?
Virginia.
Thank you so much for once again classing up the joint and doing it for the entire season. We have 1 week left of the regular season, then we're going to roll into our
Our
playoff
prop bet.
thing.
Yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, I won last year. Just remember that I won the whole thing last year, so
Doesn't matter.
I'm defending that title.
It's a new year, pal.
It is. Well, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Liz. Love you.
Yep, we'll talk to
Love
you
you
next
guys
week.
too. Enjoy the popcorn and talk to you in the new year. No, still in 2015.
Yeah, it'll be 20. It'll
Next
still be
Wednesday.
20.
Yeah, it will be. Yeah.
All right, Liz.
All right. Bye, guys. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
See you. Love that Losa.
Not like in Star Wars, though. That's gonna be an issue for me.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk about that. Panthers Falcons at the Falcons. Cam Newton, obviously, he's going to play probably.
He's playing.
Yeah, but don't have to go through the guy's numbers. You know what you got there if you got him. She mentioned Cameron Artis-Payne. I'm not sure if they're going to continue to hold Stewart out, but if he does sit out,
I think he's gonna sit.
I would sit him were I the Panthers. Because, honestly, they don't really need him.
They don't need
Payne only rushed for 59 yards, but it was enough.
He was okay.
Hey, it was enough. And of course, Cam did his thing. So, Teddy Ginn,
Now,
dude.
talk to me about the guy you were going to bench last week.
Yeah. Oh, no, I played him. I actually
No,
played him
but
in the draft.
we had a conversation, and you were on the side of benching him. I eventually talked you into starting him again, but you were still on the side of.
Wait, aren't you the guy who said sit Antonio Brown?
Okay, no,
checking.
I said sit him for somebody else amazing, like Brandon
Robinson.
Marshall or something.
It was
Yeah,
Robinson.
Allen Robinson, right? Sure.
Yeah, but I say you don't sit Antonio Brown. Turns out I was right. Anyway, yeah.
Turns out I was right about Ted again.
Yeah,
You
I
sitting
know.
him this week?
Well, Teddy Ginn and
Number two,
Brown.
number two defense against fantasy wide receivers. You sitting Teddy Ginn?
No, dude's got 6 touchdowns in the last 3 games.
Thank you.
You got to play Teddy Ginn, obviously. And that's, obviously Greg Olson. But as far as the receivers go, but Greg Olson to be sure.
Well, Philly Brown caught a TD.
I know. Good dude's averaging 39 yards a game. Over the last
Funchess has
couple.
had 2 touchdowns in his last 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no,
Championship week, dude.
no love.
I have to imagine you're not trying to streaming Brown or Funchess at this point.
Stop saying streaming.
Got to. From the Atlanta Falcons side, Matty Ryan.
Not a play.
No. Dude hasn't had a 300-yard game since November 8th. Hasn't had a multiple touchdown game since November 22nd. I'm thinking you have better options. Devontae Freeman, on the other hand,
Came back in a big way last week.
he did come back in a big way. Only had 56 yards on
Still.
25 carries, but had a touchdown and had
Scored.
45 yards through the air as well. So he got you good points. So it's
Roughly
definitely
100
him.
and a touchdown. That's what you're looking for.
That's what you need every week, man. Julio Jones, obvious. And that's pretty much it from the Falcons side. You can make a case for a couple other guys, but in championship week, I don't want cases. I want results.
Right. Colts are at the Dolphins, and really, dude, the only Colt I can start is T.Y. Hilton. Frankie Gore is just not very good.
Oh, he was bitching about play calling.
Well,
You hear that?
yeah. But still, he's good enough that I think that if you have him, he meets that flex criteria.
He does.
Last week, he had caught 3 passes against Houston. It was terrible. But the week before that, he had 132 yards. So he's a guy that he's hard to sit, but he's also not like an automatic slam dunk like he would be in previous seasons. So keep an eye on him. I really can't play anybody else. Moncrief had a touchdown last week.
Yeah, but
looked okay. But what do you get out of that guy this week or the week before? You know,
Right.
like it's so hit or miss.
50 yards, you have a 33% chance of a touchdown.
Yeah. So I think that he's probably a pine. From the Dolphins side, it's kind of really similar. Tannehill I can't play. Just doesn't put up enough numbers. Lamar Miller's got a quad, and he also has a benching problem.
Or just a lack of use problem.
Maybe. Okay. So, I mean,
Either way.
do you play any of the other running backs? No. It's Jarvis Landry. That's a guy you play in a PPR. Devontae Parker is interesting. I really want him to be great. But, he hasn't scored in the past 2 games. He did score in the previous 2. But last week at 87 yards. Okay, on 4 catches. Cool. But the week before that, it was 2 for 16. I can't play that guy.
Not a whole lot of trust here. Good matchup, though.
Yeah, great matchup against the 28th ranked Colts against fantasy wide receivers, giving out 26.2 points per game. But I think Parker is probably a flex conversation. Landry is really the only slam dunk start.
Indeed. Patriots Jets, to me, the game of the week.
It is, really.
I really want to see
Yeah.
the Jets win this. Could you grab me a...
You want a soda?
Yeah, one of these right here?
Yeah, okay.
Great, thank you. Lyle on his way to the fridge, folks. And possibly the restroom as well. You never know. Anyway, Tom Brady, you're playing him, obviously. We talked about James White with Liz, and, obviously in a PPR, he's a good way to go. Not sure about Steven Jackson yet. Don't know of his role. Don't even know if he's going to play this week. They may have just grabbed him for the playoffs. I wouldn't be surprised to see him come in this week, but I'm not going to say recommend him. Obviously, he's been on the couch for a while, and the running backs is pretty easy for them to learn an offense, but still not really looking for him to do much this week. Julian Edelman still doubtful with that foot. We talked about him a little bit with Liz. Probably a Week 17 play. Danny Amendola's questionable with that knee. If he plays, he's going to be at least flex worthy, I have to imagine, but I really don't know that he's going to get in there. A guy like Brandon LaFell, I'm thinking you probably have better options. Rob Gronkowski, on the other hand, thank you so much, Lyle. You're a gentleman and a scholar.
You're welcome, pal.
Rob Gronkowski, of course, you're playing him. From the Jets side, dude, the beard.
Dude, he's awesome.
He is awesome. Now, he was a yard short of a 300-yard game last week. Only had 1 touchdown. Did have a pick, but the week before that, only 263, but 3 touchdowns. The week before that, 2. The week before that, 4.
It's not a great matchup, but you know what, dude? If he's been bringing me to the show all year long, guess what? I'm rolling him championship week.
Yeah, I'm not really worried about the matchup. I think when these 2 teams get together, it's a
Yeah.
shootout.
Yeah, it is.
And the Jets are home. They're fighting for their playoff lives. I think this is going to be a great game. If I have Chris Ivory, I'm playing him. If I have Bilal Powell, I'm playing him in a PPR.
Yeah.
Otherwise, looking at the receivers, obviously Decker and Marshall are plays. And that's pretty much it from the Jets side. You really can't make a case for anybody else. But if you have either one of those 2 guys, they're definite plays.
Right. Who would have thought? Texans-Titans. Who would have thought when Tony Romo went down and Whedon came in and Jerry Jones came out and said, Whedon can play just as well as Tony Romo. We're going to win it. Who would have thought
We stand 4 square behind Brandon Whedon.
that week 16 we'd be talking about Brandon Whedon as the quarterback of the Texans?
This is what, the 4th quarterback for the Texans?
I think it's number 4. So Hoyer's still questionable with that concussion. Yates is out for the year.
Yeah, he's done.
Such a bummer, man. The guy didn't have a hell of an NFL career, right? But still, it just bums me out when I see a guy get an opportunity.
He could have been a contender. He could have been somebody.
He has an opportunity to play in this league at the highest level, and non-contact injury. Like, it's just, you're just like, oh, dude.
What's what Breeze had a non-contact,
I know.
deal, something like that.
Anyway, so irregardless, we're not playing a Texans quarterback not named Hoyer. Alf Blue had a huge game last week, and stick with me here.
I'm sticking.
I know this is a bad matchup, okay? Titans are 10th against fantasy running backs. I know that Alf Blue has been really crappy, but I feel like the quarterback situation's so bad, they were just like, F it, let's run the ball. And
Let's give it to Alf 25 times.
yeah, so if they do that again, I think it's probably not championship game, but I think he might be a dice roll in a DraftKings format. Something daily. DeAndre Hopkins is obviously somebody you have to play, irregardless of the quarterback, but that's pretty much it from the Texans side. From the Titans side, it's the Mettenberger show. Not playing him, obviously. Poor Mariota, blah, blah, blah.
We may have seen the last of Mariota for the year.
Probably, I would guess.
I mean,
only one game left.
Right, so why put the kid under?
Well, I mean, if he's healthy, they might let him play.
Maybe.
The running backs are kind of terrible. Antonio Andrews is okay at times, but hopefully you have better. The wide receivers, I'm really confused about because Dorial Green-Beckham can have some huge games, dude.
I'd love to have him in a dynasty.
Me too, but not a guy I can play reliably. So Delaney Walker is the guy you play, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah, no matter how many people are covering him, he seems to come down with the ball.
Well, dude, he's huge.
Yeah, and he runs really fast for a tight end.
Yeah. Well, he's like a offensive lineman who can run a 4.8,
right?
And can also he's 6'5" or something, so he can jump too.
Yeah, it's good trouble to have there. For
yeah.
Browns Chiefs, Johnny Manziel. The question for him is not whether you play him in any format this year. But the answer, of course, to that is no. But is he doing enough to hold down the gig for next year? You're not sure. He's keeping him in games. He looks pretty good at times. This is probably not a good week to play.
I would say every week's probably
not a good
week to play him.
Yeah, and the running backs, really nobody there you can talk about.
Johnson's stats aren't correct, by the way. He had a really good game. Well, he had an okay game. Put it that way.
Right. He had 46 yards
on the ground, another 39 through the air with 5 catches. Pretty good PPR numbers, and
right.
I don't know what's going on with his stats. Why they
bad matchup and no trust. So yeah, good game last week, Duke. Love you, man.
Well, against Seattle though too. So
yeah,
I might roll him in a PPR format.
He may be just flex worthy.
Yeah,
at the back end of the flex list.
Yeah.
From the receiver side, I don't know. Maybe Travis Benjamin. I'm not really feeling it though. It's Barnage is what it is, and play him with confidence, of course. From the Chiefs side, Alex Smith. Don't know what to make of Alex Smith. I mean, people say, should I play him or this other guy? Alex Smith is steady. He hasn't cracked 200 yards since November 29th. 162, 191, 171. But he has 4 touchdowns and 1 pick in that span. He's not going to get you a lot of points, but he's not going to cost you a lot of points either. If you got a better option, of course, in championship week, you want to roll him.
Guy's got 4 picks on the year. That's what you make on him.
That's what, yeah.
He doesn't make mistakes.
Yeah, he's not going to cost you interception points.
Because of that, he doesn't take a lot of risks. You know what I mean? Or rather, he doesn't take a lot of risks. That's why he doesn't make a lot of mistakes. So if he throws a touchdown, it's pretty much wide open.
Right. He's not going to throw it out there for the receiver to make a play.
Right.
Guy's got to be open.
Right.
Now, if you're looking at Shark West or Spencer Ware, they're basically the same guy. They're going to get you 50-something yards, maybe a touchdown. Maybe one of them will break out, but you don't know which one. It's just a mess. And for championship week, I may look elsewhere depending on what I have on my bench.
Well, Shark played really well last week, but that was with Ware out.
Right.
With Ware back in, who knows what the split will be.
Right. The ribs are healed-ish.
So that's where it gets confusing.
So Ware could come back in and cause problems. So it's going to be ugly.
Talk to me about J-Mac.
Well, you know what? There's not a whole lot to say other than yes. He only had 50 yards last week, but he did have a touchdown on 7 catches. So in a PPR, definitely a thumbs up. Look at your roster if you have if it's a standard scoring league for you. But I have to imagine against this 29th ranked Browns defense against fantasy wide receivers, you're not going to find much better stats in a case for a wide receiver.
Yep.
Kelsey, maybe. Yeah, probably not really.
He can be okay.
He can be, and he's not the guy I'm going to rush to play. But not everybody can have Barnage and Gronk. So
true.
You got to play somebody.
Yep. Jaguars, Saints, and to my Jaguars peeps, all y'all Hearns owners, y'all Robinson owners, guess what? Blake Bortles owners, this is your week. Yeah. Championship week. Get happy. Blake Bortles is a guy that I'm definitely playing. I think that's probably obvious at this point, but I feel like I still need to say it because it's Blake Bortles.
So I'll do it on Twitter saying I'm sitting Carson Palmer.
and
To
playing
play
Bortles.
Yeah.
Dude, he's facing the dead last, worst-ranked Saints against fantasy quarterbacks, giving up just over 23 points a game. He's averaging 300 yards a game in his last 4, and he's got 11 touchdowns through the air, another 2 on the ground, just 2 picks in that span. Dude, he's as home run as it gets this week.
He's more home run than Kirk Cousins
He
was
is.
when he played New Orleans.
Yes, he is. Yeldon, what I'm hearing is he's progressing, so still is a game time right now.
I would still be
not listed.
counting on Denard Robinson.
Well, he's questionable with a foot.
Yeah.
So, you have to monitor that situation. If Yeldon plays, though, I would definitely put him in against this defense. Again, they're dead last against the run.
What an awful defense.
They are pretty bad. Robinson and Hearns are obvious. I know Hearns didn't have a great game last week.
In a big fantasy semifinal loss for me. Thanks a boatload. Hurts.
Yeah, but he's
Bastard.
good enough that you have to play each and every week. Kevin, obviously,
Yeah.
Robinson's a guy. I mean, he only caught 3 passes, but one of them was a touchdown. So Robinson's a
I would have
total
accepted
play
that.
as well. And Julius Thomas has become a must start as well, proving that it wasn't the color, it wasn't the orange.
Turquoise Thomas.
Turquoise Julius has been amazing thus far. From the Saints side, listen, it's a pretty good matchup for them too. Drew Brees questionable with that foot. I think he's going to play. If he does, you have to play him. I mean, there's just no doubt in my mind that he's going to have a good game. He just does this. Had bad first half last week, and then second half just lit it up. The running backs, though, man, how do you feel about Hightower? I
I would look for a better option.
just don't think he's going to be a big enough part. It's funny. Sans Ingram, they've been looking for that Darren Sproles character
Ever since they let Darren Sproles
since
go.
they let him go. They really should have held on to him.
Glad they didn't.
Nobody has been even close to as good. So no there. Gonna play Brandon Cooks, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
He's kind of okay. He had a huge game last week, 10 catches, $124.
He had a huge half.
And
The
a
first half,
touchdown.
he didn't do anything.
Well, he
He
almost
had a
got
couple
touchdown.
catches, but
Marcus Colston also has 3 TDs in his last couple. And, this defense is middling against wide receivers, but if you're desperate or you're in a situation where you're out of DraftKings money and you got $3,500 left, Marcus Colston might be your guy. Benny Watson is a tight end in this league who catches touchdowns sometimes, so maybe.
Dude, in PPR? Talk to me about Willie Snead.
Dude, I really don't think that Snead is a guy that I would play on a regular basis. I understand that he has been the past 2 games has caught quite a few passes, has
17.
20 targets in those games, has some decent yardage numbers too,
Almost 200.
But look at his previous several.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so he just disappears, and that's really scary to me. In a PPR, he's a guy we can talk about in a flex, but he's not going to be an auto start.
Definitely not an auto start.
Yeah.
Green Bay Packers, Arizona Cardinals. Game of the week 2.
This is a really good one.
This is going to be good. Aaron Rodgers, I know he hasn't been Aaron Rodgers-ish of late, but how can you sit Aaron Rodgers?
Well,
Maybe if you have Blake Bortles.
did that really just come out of your mouth?
I don't know. Did it?
I think it
Is
did.
this bizarro world? Start
think.
Blake Bortles, sit Aaron Rodgers. But honestly, with that matchup, in this matchup, do you play Blake Bortles or Aaron Rodgers? If it's your situation, your championship on the line.
I'd play Bortles. Wow. I would.
Me too.
Listen, Rodgers is a great quarterback, but he hasn't been playing well. And you know what? I don't care about his name. I think he's a Hall of Famer. I think there's no question. But guess what? I want them points, and I want the guy who has 13 touchdowns over his past 4, not 6.
Yeah.
Or 7, rather. Sorry.
Well, one running.
One on the ground. Right.
Eddie Lacy, running backs. I don't know, man. I really want to love Eddie Lacy. He had a $124 last week and a touchdown. The week before last, I should say. Against Oakland, he had 11 carries for 23 yards.
Meh.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to say sit him. I mean, it's not a great matchup, of course. The Cardinals play good run D. But, he's one of those guys that can have a good game. And I don't know what your bench looks like. But, I wouldn't hate it if you played Eddie Lacy. And the same thing goes with Starks. I mean, generally Lacy and Starks don't have, good games together. One will score a touchdown, the other will score a touchdown, etc. But Starks plays well enough to start at least in a flex. The wide receivers, dude, they blow me away. James Jones had a good game last week. Devontae Adams caught a couple of passes. Randall Cobb. None of these guys are Jordy Nelson, who you say, got to start him every week.
They're not.
Right.
They're really missing him.
So last week I sat Randall Cobb, and I'm glad I did because he didn't produce.
You lost the game anyway.
Yeah, I would have anyway. Damn it. Richard Rodgers as a tight end. Dude gets targets. I'd play him if I have him. From the Cardinals side, Carson Palmer, did you see the injury to the finger?
Yeah.
I don't know if
Just
he dislocated
gnarly,
it or what, but it just got caught up in a face mask.
Yeah.
Didn't look good. But, dude, Carson Palmer, if he's playing,
Oh,
I'm
dude,
playing him.
he's a play. He's a play.
He's definitely
100%.
a play.
Yeah.
From the running backs, dude, David Johnson has a knee issue, but he is probable. Last week we said, if you've got him against Philly, absolutely play him. We hope you did listen to that, because if you did, you probably won your week just based on his numbers.
Oh, he had a huge game. Nearly 200 yards. Nearly 200 yards. 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, the dude,
Had over 200 total, certainly.
Oh, yeah. 187 on the ground, 42 through the air, 3 touchdowns rushing. And, just basically blew the Eagles away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got to love that, right?
What happened to our linebackers?
They're all hurt.
And bad.
Or slowed. Yeah, something. Dude, with the kid out, with the rookie out,
Yeah.
when he was in there, different team.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, Jordan Hicks.
Yeah. It's not as good a matchup. The Packers are 12th against the run for fantasy running backs, 14.5 points a game. But if he plays, I would definitely play him as well. The kid looked like he was on a mission. Larry Fitzgerald, John Brown, I'm playing both of them. If I have Michael Floyd, he's at least worth a flex. Definitely. I love playing these receivers.
Right. Rams at the Seahawks in what is not the game of the week, Kevin.
No.
Todd Gurley we're playing. Yeah, and I'm done with the Rams.
Mm-hmm.
We can talk about Tavon Austin and Kenny Britt maybe.
No need.
But no, not in this matchup. Russell Wilson's a guy I'm playing.
Yeah.
Guy has 17 touchdowns in his past 4 games.
Right.
1 on the ground, 16 through the air.
Yeah, 10 of them to one guy.
Oh, my God. I know. And that's Dougie Baldwin. We're obviously playing him. The running backs, I'm just going to go ahead and stay away from. Now, I know that Christine Michael had a decent game. He had 84 yards on 16 carries. I know. But I'm just not trusting it yet. So,
I mean, never trust it.
yeah, just going to fade it for right now. Even though it's a good matchup. Doug Baldwin we're playing.
Yeah.
Going to go ahead and play Tyler Lockett.
Dude, Curse actually had a good game. He's got a couple touchdowns.
He was okay. But I don't think this is not a situation where he's a guy that's a must start.
Right.
He had 110 yards, 7 catches. He had 7 catches the week before for 74. I get you, but not a guy that I'm playing week to week, automatically.
He's definitely the third or fourth choice
like
out there.
Baldwin is.
Yeah.
Baldwin has become the elitist of the elite receivers. I mean, listen to this, dude. Against Cleveland, 2 TDs. Against Baltimore, 3. Against Minnesota, 2 TDs. Against Pittsburgh, 3. That's back to November.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, dude, the hell?
Yeah, you got to play him, of course.
Yeah. So
Jamie's talking about he's going to be his keeper for next year.
I don't blame
If
him.
this is the way Seattle's offense is going to go.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, right.
And why was Seattle's offense not like this before?
Because they wanted to run the ball for some reason.
Well, they should have done it at least one time
Well,
in that Super Bowl game.
Looking at the Giants-Vikings game, Eli Manning. You know what? It's easy to say, well, I don't want to play Manning. But you know what? Dude's had
He was okay last week.
two 4-touchdown games in the last 2 weeks.
I'll tell you why. No Odell. You don't play it.
Right.
Eli.
That's why you don't play Eli. You see, you got to let me get there, man.
All right.
You got to let me get there. Rashad Jennings, Liz talked about him. Dude actually was running like a man possessed.
He was.
And, it's not a great matchup against the Vikes' 9th-ranked fantasy defense. But if you're looking for a running back, especially in a DFS, as they say, Rashad Jennings could be your guy. Beckham, his suspension upheld, obviously. Don't really love these other receivers enough to give them the thumbs up. They're going to have to throw the ball to somebody, Ruben Randall, Dwayne Harris. I'd look elsewhere to be sure. Will Tye has stepped
He's
up
been
his
pretty
game
good.
a little bit, but I have to imagine you have better options in the championship game than that dude. From the Minnesota side, dude, Teddy Bridgewater actually looked like a playoff quarterback last week.
Well,
He had 4 touchdowns and 231 yards, ran for 17 yards and a touchdown.
I know.
If that's not what a playoff quarterback looks like, I don't know what one
Is
does.
Jameis Winston a playoff quarterback?
He has looked like one.
Okay. So he had a good game.
Yeah, I'm still not playing Teddy.
Okay, thank you.
Even though the matchup
It's a
is
great matchup.
Giants are number 31, over 20 points a game to fantasy
Teddy
quarterbacks.
Bridgewater.
Teddy ball game. No. Adrian Peterson and his ankle. Thanks for the 4.6 points last week, AP.
Kevin's not bitter.
You bastard.
He's not bitter.
Yeah. Well, let's sit out the middle 2 quarters of the game, AP. Thanks. Appreciate that. If he plays, you're going to play him, of course, and hopefully that ankle, will be taped properly and everything will be fine. When he was out, Jerick McKinnon came in. Yeah. He had 76 yards receiving and a touchdown on 4 catches. You really can't count on that, though. So if you're thinking, I'm going to pick him up, yeah, don't bother. From the wide receiver side,
Big step up again.
Diggs
Had a
actually
good
had
game.
himself a ball game. He had a couple of TDs, only 55 yards on 3 catches, but can you count on that? Probably not. Good matchup. 24.3 points the Giants give up. Maybe in a DraftKings league, but if you're playing for your championship, I would look elsewhere for receivers. Kyle Rudolph, we talk about him every week, and I want to love him. I want to play him. But dude had 21 yards last week, 67 the week before. Hasn't had a touchdown since late November. Yeah, probably look elsewhere for that. Yeah.
Okay, game of the week 3, Kevin, would have been a lot better if Dalton was in there.
It would have been a lot better if Peyton was in there.
That's true,
Peyton
too.
could be in there, but they're going with Osweiler.
I think he's not. Yeah. Actually, I saw a report last week, and I haven't stayed up on it, so I'm not sure if it's still valid. But it said that Peyton Manning wasn't healthy enough to be Osweiler's backup, even.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not sure. I think if Peyton's dressing, Peyton wants to be on the field.
That's probably true. And do you think he goes far? Do you think he ends up in, I don't know, God forbid, New England? That'd be funny.
That would be hysterical.
Yeah,
I don't know
But
if
do you think he ends up somewhere? Because Favre went to Minnesota. That's my point. You kind of a rivalry there, and
Right.
Obviously it was Colts, New England. Now it's Denver, New England. Kind of. I think that would be funny. But anyway, do you think he ends up in, Houston, for example, and
maybe.
and has a couple seasons
Houston
there?
was one of the places he was looking at because it's close to Louisiana where he's from.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah,
maybe.
because he's not a Bronco next year, right?
I have to imagine they look elsewhere.
Yeah, I think they're done. Anyway, it's the AJ McCarron show, which means we can expect bad things for probably AJ Green. But I still can't sit him, Kevin. I hear you. I know that you're
Dude
sitting
had one
him.
catch for me last
I
week.
understand.
My team blew up. The team that was number 2 seeded in the league.
Okay, you're a little bit bitter
I'm a lot bitter.
and you're jaded right now, but I think you still have to play AJ
One catch
Green.
for 30. When he caught that for 37 yards, I'm like, oh, it's going to be big, and that was it.
Yeah, Jeremy Hill's a guy I'm playing though. I know it's funny. We talk about him not being great, and he's not. Had 1 target through the air, 0 receptions, 19 carries for 31 yards at the 1.6 average, but the guy did score 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, but the week before that, he scored none.
I know, but I think he meets the flex category and probably just barely fits into it, but I'd be okay with it. Eifert's still questionable with the concussion.
I saw Eifert out.
Is he out? He's questionable,
I saw
according
that it
to
was-
the official injury report right
Yeah, I
now.
saw today.
He's probably unlikely.
But it
to
was
play.
on Reddit, so
yeah, he's probably
who knows?
he's probably unlikely to play, but officially questionable at this point right now. Manning and Osweiler are both questionable at this point right now. Wouldn't play either of them anyway, so kind of moot at this juncture.
Or as they say,
mute.
Yeah.
The running game, Anderson, Hillman, kind of a joke.
Can you really?
Can't really,
No.
but every time we go to sit Demarius or Manny Sanders,
You got to play him.
they blow up, dude.
Gotta play
Demarius had 2 TDs last week. Manny Sanders had 1 and 181 yards.
And a couple of big catches.
Yeah, so I think you have to play those guys, irregardless of how you feel about it. We recommended Vernon Davis last week as a roll of the dice. That was probably a mistake.
He dropped a couple passes. They could have kept drives going. Thanks a lot for nothing.
So, and those Beat them games, bitches.
Those be them games.
All right, let's get to some questions.
We
and
got
then
questions.
Get the flock out of here, Kevin.
DJ E-Ray says, Evening Gems fantasy gods shined down on me Monday night when Ben Watson hauled in a score with a minute left and pushed my team to victory by 1 point.
Nice.
110 to 109. That means championship, baby. It's been a grind. Now I look for you to help seal the deal. Question, do you play Carlos Williams at Dallas or John Brown at Green Bay above any of the following standard scoring? RB1, D. Will at Baltimore. RB2, Latavius Murray at San Diego. Wide receiver 1, Brandon Cooks. Wide receiver 2, Allen Robinson. Flex, A.J. Green.
So Murray and Green are in question here. I actually don't hate John Brown over A.J. Green in the flex here. And here's the thing, though, Kevin. How bad is that finger?
He threw a couple wobblers after that the other night.
He's probable, though, so he's playing.
Yeah.
He's going to play.
I have to imagine that, it's
So-
been iced and shot and all that.
I don't hate... Dude, A.J. Green has got a McCarron problem. He's playing Denver.
And a Denver problem.
I think I'm playing John
and he's
Brown.
got the back problem.
I think I'm playing John Brown over A.J. Green. Carlos Williams over Latavius Murray. Talk to me about that one because I think that's also swappable.
San Diego's still awful against the run. They've
They
been
are.
better of late.
But Dallas is bad too.
Dallas is bad. But, Carlos Williams is going
Dallas
to be...
is 27th.
Carlos Williams now has possibly a Shady problem and a Gillislee problem, whereas Murray has Marcel Reese. So just based on matchup and the less
I
crowded
thought Shady was
backfield,
banged up.
he is banged up. He came out of the game the other day, but
I
he's
know.
not on the injury report. So what are you going to do, right?
So if LaShawn plays, I'm okay with going with Kevin. But if LaShawn McCoy is going to sit, I'd play Carlos Williams in a heartbeat
Over
Latavius Murray. I would.
I think if it's
Murray's just not super productive. I mean,
he's not. I think it's a coin flip though. Because back early in the season, Williams was scoring touchdowns every game. He hasn't been doing that
he's been hurt.
since he came back from injury. So, well, I don't care if he's hurt.
I mean,
or not.
last week was the
just want
first game.
points.
It was the first game he was back, and he had 4 carries for 41 yards, averaged 10.3.
All right.
Yeah, I play Williams if Shady is out
If
or
Shady's
limited
out.
or whatever.
I don't hate it. I think it's a coin flip, so I can't really argue against it,
All right,
if you will.
that's what I would do. All right, let's go to these emails. I'm going to start at the top, man. Miguel says, "What's up, fellas? Seen the YouTube video, and I just say you guys look nothing like you sound.
Thank God. Well,
LOL.
no,
What does that mean?
we sound good or we look bad?
We sound glorious,
yeah,
pal.
we do sound good. The looks, it's
Not so
good.
much.
No.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
I'm
I
rocking
need
the
some-
Santa hat.
You are, which does help out your your creds.
It doesn't quite cover the face. That would be good. If
Yeah,
it covered
it's
up this
unfortunate
grill.
that it's not covering the grill.
Yeah.
It's a pain in my ass. Anyway, I need some mediocre advice to help me win my championship. I need 2 of the 3 running backs. It's a 1 point. Peeper, Hightower, Gore, or Denard Robinson. Also, will you play Ginn over Cooper? Hold on. Hightower, Gore,
Talking
or
Riley
Denard.
or Amari?
It's got to be Amari.
Yeah.
He needs 2 of the 3 running backs, Hightower, Gore, or Denard Robinson. With Yeldon coming back and Robinson questionable, I think he's probably the guy you have to sit. Even though I don't particularly like Hightower or Gore, I think that Yeldon's going to play and Denard Robinson's probably not going to play much.
But if Yeldon doesn't play,
Then
and
it would-
Darnard
then
does,
then I would sit Hightower probably.
yeah, there you go.
Okay. Also, would you play Ginn over Cooper? This is really complicated.
It's not though.
I know he's got what 5 touchdowns the past
Like
4 games.
3 2-touchdown games in a row. Playing against Atlanta.
Yeah, but Kamari Cooper's so freaking good.
He is. I'm playing Ginn.
Yeah,
I
me
learned
too.
my lesson.
All right. I'm just saying we got to think about it. I can't just auto do it. He says, okay, here's my squad. Thanks, fan of the show for a couple seasons now.
Do appreciate that.
Miguel from Chicago. Team YOLO. He's got Cam, Julio Cooper, Hightower, Gore Robinson, Olsen, Santos, Detroit, and the benched Jets D. And some lovely photographs.
Rihanna in the
Yeah, just all kinds of nipplage.
in the black dress. That's very
Ooh,
nice.
the second one's really nice too. I don't know who that chick is, but
That's Jessica Biel, dude.
is it?
From I now pronounce you Chuck and Larry.
Wow, you pulled that right out. You watch that movie about gay marriage a lot?
No, I watched that part of it on YouTube.
There's another one that's got all kind of nipplage in it.
I believe that is also
Big
Rihanna.
fan. Thanks, Miguel. Hopefully we helped you out, man.
Hopefully, and good luck in that ship. Bottle Rocket says, hello, gents. For the first time, I've made a championship game in a money league, about $200 on the line. Finished the regular season second place at 9-5, playing the first place team who finished 13-1. Only 4 teams in the playoff. We both easily made it past our semis. This person has just been steamrolling everyone and is pretty stacked.
I don't ever easily make it past my semi, Kevin.
Yeah, I don't either. Any final lineup or waiver wire advice? So here are the starting lineups. Our boys got Russell Wilson. Other dude's got Tom Brady. I assume that's what it is. He's got Brandon Marshall, Demarius
Here's
Thomas,
my starting
Moncrief.
lineup on the left versus their team on the right. So, yeah.
Yeah, he's got Brady. He's got Antonio Brown, Allen Hurns, and Malcolm Floyd.
Devonta Freeman.
D.
Will
against Murray and Powell.
Yeah.
Kelsey versus Severian
David
Jenkins.
Johnson. Holy hell.
Yeah.
This dude's got a squad.
Yeah, I hate to tell you this, dude. You're going to finish second in this league.
Yeah.
Just on paper. Obviously they
But
play
here,
games,
but here's the thing, though, dude. I don't think you're doing anything wrong here. I do question Moncrief being there.
And you would put in who?
But no.
Bolden?
Just no, probably not.
Maybe see Hill get in there in place of Powell, unless this is a PPR.
I mean, I don't think you can do anything about it unless you check your waiver wire or something. But Moncrief bothers me.
You know
a
what?
little
I
bit.
would take Sims out, and I would put Hill in.
I would put Hill in for Sims, definitely. Yeah, that's a good catch.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
Other than that, he's like, among players on the wire, Will Tye, Joique Bell.
I would play
Theo
Will
Riddick.
Tye over Austin Seferius Jenkins.
Yeah, I would do that. Yeah, because, dude, ODB is not going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to move this chain somehow. Marcus Colson's out there. Kenny Britt, Donald Brown, Marcus Wheaton. Marcus
Wheaton.
Good God, pick him up immediately.
And play him over Moncrief.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You
I'd play him
bet.
over Moncrief in a second.
And Jordan Matthews. So, yeah, I mean, Marcus Wheaton is a guy I'm surprised he's out there.
Yeah, so Wheaton over Moncrief, Will Tye over Seferian Jenkins,
And Hill over
and
Sims.
Hill over Chris Sims. And we just won you a championship.
And don't worry what the projections say. They're always wrong.
They
We,
are.
on the other hand, are occasionally right.
Not really.
Occasionally. The blind squirrel nut theory.
I never understood that.
What?
Blind squirrel finding a nut.
Well, you need eyes to find things around.
Really? So you
Right.
think animals use eyes to find food?
Sometimes.
What do they use, Kevin?
Well, generally a sense of smell.
Okay, so it's really like a squirrel that can't smell anything finding a nut.
I think you're reading too much into it. I think you know what the metaphor means. You're just being a dick.
I'm not being a dick. I'm just saying.
You're you, so by default you're being a dick.
Fine, but what I'm saying is that
Can we
it
get to
doesn't
the
make
questions, or-
sense. I am, but that statement never makes any sense.
Well, I didn't come up with it. I just use it. And you know what it means.
So you intentionally use them as
Spit it out, man. Come on.
phrase
All right.
that makes no sense.
More than once. More than one phrase in every day.
Okay. Ron says, I made it to the ship. It's a 2-game combined score. Standard scoring, 1 flex, defense, and
I like
kicker.
that 2-game championship.
Me too. Here's what I'm working with. Breeze, Jeremy Hill, Hightower, Cobb, Martavis, Bryant, Ertz, Sanders, defense kicker. Bench is James White, Moncrief, Antonio Andrews, Nate Washington, Langford, Tyra Taylor, and Eifert. I've already put in claims for Ginn and Gillislee.
They're on the wire.
But Abdullah Powell, McKinnon, if AP is out, Kristen Michael are all on the wire. Should I try to scoop up anyone else?
AP's not out.
The guy I'm playing isn't playing the wire, so I think I can lock it all down. I mean, dude, you can drop James White, you can drop Moncrief, you could drop Antonio Andrews, you could drop Nate Washington, you can drop Langford, you can drop Tyrod Taylor, you can drop Eifert, really, at this point.
Well, I might not drop Tyrod Taylor until you see what Breeze is going to do.
Well, and Breeze is questionable. So what I'm saying is every one of these people on your bench right here is droppable. So
Right, 'cause
should
you know
you go
you're not
after
gonna
these
play those
players?
guys.
Yes, you should go after all of them. Why not?
Right. Because you know you're not going to play White, Moncrief, Andrews, Washington,
Langford.
And if Eifert is
Maybe
out.
maybe Taylor and Eifert, because you have next week to consider.
Right.
So maybe hold on to those two. But the rest of those guys you can safely drop.
Swappable.
Yeah.
As we like
So yeah, I would put in for all of them. Now, as far as playing people, I mean, Ted Ginn's going into my lineup.
Yeah.
So if you get him, he's going in. Who you play him over, that depends on what your situation is. I see Hightower in there, which I really don't like. I might even play Abdullah over him this week. Kristen Michael might even be a guy I play over Hightower.
Well, if I'd play Gillislee, certainly if Shady's
yes,
out.
if Shady's out.
Yeah, so, dude, here's the thing. Call on Saturday.
Yeah, or send us another email.
If you're AA
After
Ron
you
who
get
calls
these-
us on Saturday, yeah, definitely call us.
Yeah, and we'll help you tighten that up a little bit.
Let us know who you got.
Right.
All right, then. Back to the forum. Red 5, early poster or new poster. Gents, enjoy the podcast after discovering it mid-season. Thanks. Welcome. I squeaked into my championship after benching Sanders and Reed last week. Wow.
Ooh.
Luckily, I did so in favor of Ginn and Lockett.
Okay.
So still made it through. Well, that's good. I need some wide receiver advice this week. It's a standard league, and we have 3 wide receiver tight end slots. Either position can be used. Yeah, we kind of got that part. Need 3 out of this motley crew. Landry at Indy, Ginn at Atlanta, Jordan Reed at Philly, E. Sanders at Cincy, and Lockett at St. Louis. So 3. Who you sitting?
Landry's one. In a standard league, I'm okay sitting Landry.
Yeah.
So that leaves us just one more to bench, Kevin. It's not Jordan Reed. It's not
It's
Ginn.
not Ted Ginn.
Probably not Manny Sanders either.
It's Manny Sanders. You can
It's
sit
Lockett or Sanders. I might go with the quarterback that's throwing 16 touchdowns in his past 4 games.
Yeah, Lockett's had some of those.
Yeah.
I-
I mean, Sanders played well last week, but different defense this week. Still maybe an Osweiler situation. I think I'm still going Lockett. I think I'm going Lockett.
Yeah, I don't hate that. I don't hate it. I mean, you can make a real strong case for Sanders.
Oh, yeah.
But you can make a real strong and slightly RCH stronger for Lockett. P.S. Alpine Brewing out of San Diego does the Duet, a top-notch Pliny-level IPA.
That's I've heard things about Pliny that you're.
Check it out if you ever see it at your
Not
favorite
considering.
beer emporium. I'll
All
check
right.
it out because, State Line Liquors, best liquor store on the planet. Anyway, he says he
not true,
puts it. It's probably not, but it's the best liquor store nearby.
It is.
Beer Advocate links. We'll check that out as well. Cheers
man.
for any help you can
Thank you.
provide. Hopefully, we assisted you.
You. So Chris says, I have Gates playing on Thursday and Eifert on Sunday. Do I risk Eifert not playing Sunday and have to go with the guy on waivers, or just go ahead and play Gates? Guys on waivers are Zach Miller, Heath Miller, ASJ, Vernon Davis, and Will Tye. This is a 1 point peeper. Thanks for the help, guys. I myself, I don't think Eifert's going to play. But even if he did, I wouldn't feel bad playing Gates over him, with him just coming back. So I don't hate Gates, playing Gates tomorrow night. However, there are good enough names there that you can roll the dice. I'd be totally fine playing Zach Miller
Or Will
and
Tye.
or Will Tye on Sunday. So if you are not feeling Gates, I'm totally okay with both of those options too. I would probably stick with Gates.
I probably would as well. None of the other guys are so compelling that I'm going to sit Antonio Gates.
Right.
So there you go.
They're okay.
Sheriff 22 says, "Evening, fellas. Thanks to your lackluster advice, I have made it to the championship. I need some help and can't seem to make up my mind on who to start here. PPR league, 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 3 wide receivers, flex. The guys with asterisks I have starting right now, but I'm leaning towards starting Rivers over Rodgers. Please help, thanks. So Rivers, Arizona, Rodgers, Arizona, Rivers, Oakland. Who you got?"
All the same reasons you said before. The Rivers is actually playing slightly better, only because last week's game was pretty good. You know what though? He played terribly against Denver. He played terribly against Kansas City. Both good defenses. This is a different defense, I understand, but I think in this case you play Rodgers.
Yeah.
Rivers isn't. He's not good enough. The matchup's not compelling enough. If he was playing the Saints, okay, I would have done it.
Right. You don't
But
want
it's
to
a
be
middling defense.
You don't want to be the guy who gets cute and sits Rodgers and have him go off for a 5-touchdown game, which
Right.
is more than possible.
Sure.
Even though Arizona's Arizona, but the Honey Badger hurt, so we'll see. Anyway, he's got D. Johnson at Green Bay and Timmy Hightower at Jacksonville.
Really don't like Hightower.
Also has Buck Allen, Carlos
not
Williams.
Pittsburgh. Again, monitor the shady situation.
Shady's out. Carlos Williams' value probably takes him above Hightower.
I think me too. Yeah.
Watkins at Dallas, D. Thomas at Cincy, Mike Evans at Chicago, Deshaun Jackson at Philly.
Yep. Love those.
I like them all, dude.
Yep.
I like them all. He's got Crabtree and LaFell. I think
I like
he got
Crabtree,
the right guys
but
in.
I think I would play the other guys. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for all your help this year, and the donation is in order at year's end. Thanks again. Hey, love that.
We love donations.
Thank you so much,
We like monies.
and good luck to you.
Dan says, Hey guys, I'm in the finals, but have taking some abuse, so got a couple questions. Okay, have been taking some abuse?
Is the abuse about your typing or grammar?
We are a half point PPR. Okay,
All right.
I have Wilson, Baldwin, Odell's got to replace Odell.
Yeah.
Martin, David Johnson, Flex's Hightower. He had Eifert, but he streamed Ebron last week.
You went ahead and streamed it.
Defense is KC and Seattle. So to replace Odell, Diggs or Lockett? I go Lockett, no
Lockett.
question there. If Lockett, I am entirely Seattle's passing game. So what? They score.
Right.
Diggs is a good matchup, but unreliable. Exactly. So I totally agree with your assessment there. I like Diggs. He has a great matchup this week. If you had other people besides Tyler Lockett or, any of the Seahawks, yeah, we'd talk about it. But having the Seahawks passing game is not bad. That's amazing. I wish I had him on my team. So, yeah, play him. KC or Seattle, D, both are good. Dude, throw a dart,
Yeah.
Honestly, they're comparable. The matchups are similar, I'd maybe KC. There you go. Maybe play KC. Matchup
Yeah.
slightly better.
You're worried about having all your receivers be Seattle. Well, that would mean you had 3 touchdowns out of your receivers this last week. I'd be all right with having 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. Plus, you
out
had
of
Russell
receivers.
Wilson.
Yeah. So
He had a pretty good week too.
yeah, it's not so bad. We always say it's better to have players on teams that are playing for something, and Seattle's definitely playing for something now.
Right.
Obviously they're not going to win their division, but they're high in the wild card, and they're peaking at the right time.
They are.
And
They're one of the best teams in the NFL. Make no
Right.
mistakes about it.
Oh, I guarantee you, regardless or irregardless, we say that a lot, of whether it's Washington or Philadelphia who wins that division, if Seattle comes to town,
It's over.
it's over. Seattle's going to win that.
Yeah.
They're clearly the better team there.
So Andy was streaming ASJ, also available Ertz, Heath Miller, or Ty. I'd probably play Will Ty.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not Heath. I think it's between Ertz and Ty, and I think they're both similar players at this point. Similar risk, similar reward.
I have a real problem playing an Eagle.
I do too.
So
But we're emotionally invested there, so it's easy for us to
it's
go.
really not emotional for me. I just think they're bad.
Well, and you're not wrong. Big Ball says, fellas, thanks for your advice last week. Thanks for your advice last week. I made it to one championship game. I've been devastated by injuries and now have to pick up and start one of these running backs if McCoy is out. Donald Brown, Mike Gillislee, Duke Johnson.
I'd go Gillislee.
I would too. If you're trusting McCoy, I mean, obviously Gillislee's not McCoy, but on limited carries last week he produced points, so that's what you need. So I know it's bad, but I appreciate your input, and there you have it. You just got the input.
You did. Input from us. All right, last email. Kevin. Chris says, hey, guys, 2 finals this week, and it's not because of you.
Yeah, well, of course not.
With Beckham being out this week, I'm desperate for slightly useful feedback. First, league and a half PPR. Help with a flex or change it up however you wish. He's got Tannehill, Bernard, Martin, Antonio Brown, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, Gronk, and flex. Options are Woodhead, Hearns, Diggs, Vereen, and Hillman. And it's a half PPR. Okay, so do you play Gio Bernard at all? Or is Hillman or Woodhead in a half PPR of viable options? Woodhead just had a 4-touchdown game.
Yeah, that's an anomaly.
I know, but in a PPR format, he has been good. This is a half PPR.
Well, in a flex, dude, these options, I'm taking Hearns.
Understand that. I'm talking about Gio Bernard.
I got you. As opposed to the running backs.
I don't think I played Gio. I think I played Woodhead or Hillman. I'd play either one of them over Gio Bernard.
I don't think I'd play Hillman. Well, yeah, you're right, because Bernard brings nothing to the table.
Yeah.
I think Woodhead, at least in a half-point PPR, is going to get you some of those points.
Right.
And Rivers targets him, so
right.
There you go.
So I would do that, and I think your flex is Hearns. I think Kevin is correct. Second league is standard. He's got Palmer, Miller, running back, Hopkins, Robinson, Kelsey, and flex. So he needs a running back here. Options are Blue, Woodhead, Matthews, G. Taint, and John Brown. Is it Golden Tate or is it John Brown for your flex here, Kevin? Running back is
This is standard.
running back is definitely Blue because in a non-standard league I wouldn't play Woodhead
No. Or Matthews.
Matthews I wouldn't play regardless.
Yeah, right. Go ahead, say it.
irregardless.
I would probably play Taint.
Man, it's tough.
It is tough.
It's tough between him and Brown. All right, I'll go Tate too, but
It's close.
yeah, I mean, I honestly, if somebody went F you, I'm playing John Brown, I'd go okay.
Yeah,
Like it's like I really you could play either one of
You
them.
know, if you had given me a case for John Brown, I might have switched. I mean, I think they're that close.
They are. I mean, well, what I will say
You
is
know why I went with
I think that Brown is a far better receiver. I think he's got far more upside, but he's just not playing as well lately.
You know why
and
I
there's
went
a
with Tate?
lot of weapons on that team.
Right, weapons and the finger.
Yeah, the finger.
Because
But he's got Palmer playing.
John Brown is the deep receiver, the speed guy. Can Palmer muscle the ball down the field? Too?
Fine. That's enough. Yeah, that's
That's my
super
reasoning.
loose, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
take
It's not. It's
And
not
Alf Blue is
scientific.
your running back there, definitely, because I wouldn't play Woodhead in a non-PPR format. And there you have it.
Geo says, "Hey guys, after a 12th place finish last year, I've risen from the ashes to make it to the championship game. Inconsistent play by my running backs have made this year interesting, but I have made a few waiver wire pickups over the last few weeks. Good for you. League is a full point PPR. I need to pick 3 out of this list: Lamar Miller, Todd Gurley, Chris Ivory, Bilal Powell, Denard Robinson, Carlos Williams.
It's the first 3 for me.
In a full point PPR,
I don't hate Bilal Powell, but Robinson's questionable. Williams, who knows? It's got to be Miller, Gurley, and Ivory. Now Miller's questionable too, I think. So if he's out, I put Powell in.
yes.
If Shady's out, I guess it gets close between Carlos Williams and Bilal Powell. But in a full point PPR, Powell's pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I think there's going to be a lot of throwing this week against Patriots.
So he's saying some things about.
Says, am I
Gurley.
crazy to want to bench guys that got me to the ship game when the money is on the line? Gurley has a bad matchup in Seattle. Ivory will likely see less snaps if the Jets
That's just pure
in
speculation.
catch-up mode. Yeah. The Seattle matchup isn't speculation. We know that is. He says, and I can't trust the Miami coaches to get their heads out of their asses. Those are all valid points.
Yeah.
But really, Seattle can be had on the ground. We know this, but they're staunch. But it's the Gurley show there, and I don't mean strippers.
No,
You know what I'm
you
saying?
have to play him.
You do. Because really, I mean, it's a dice roll for any of the other guys. Denard Robinson, he's got a foot, and maybe Yeldon's back. Carlos Williams just back from injury, and maybe Shady's in there.
And Gleesy.
Right. Gillisley?
Gillisley?
Yeah, Gillisley.
We're gonna F it up.
Bilal Powell, I mean, you're in a PPR, but you don't know what that game is going to bring.
Right.
So, Gurley's going to get the rock. Whether he does anything with it or not, that's the chance you got to take in this situation.
So I think you have to play those.
Crash 22
Oh,
says...
wait a minute.
Oh, what? Is there more?
No, I got one in the chat room.
Oh, all right.
Tanner says, need running back help. Pick 2, please. Lamar Miller, Cameron Artist Payne, James White, Bilal Powell, Kristen Michael, Rashad Jennings, Standard League. Tough times, he says. You guys rock. So, Kevin, pick 2. Lamar Miller, Cameron Artist Payne, James White, Bilal Powell, Kristen Michael, Rashad Jennings.
Is it a PPR?
None.
I'm going to play Lamar Miller and Rashad Jennings.
No love for Kristen Michael, huh?
No. No trust.
No James White love? Cameron
so
Artist
much.
Payne with J. Stu out?
Not really.
Yeah, okay. I think I agree with Kevin. Lamar Miller and Rashad Jennings.
You mean
my homie?
You mean I passed the third degree there?
I mean, listen, man, I got to get there on my own.
I'm with you. From Twitter, actually, John says a little help, please. Standard scoring, pick 2 running backs: Lamar Miller, Chris Ivory, Tim Hightower, Kristen Michael, Bilal Powell. This is for it all.
Yeah, I'd go with the first 2.
Ivory and Miller. Yep,
Yeah.
I can't argue there. Definitely. Since it's standard, Bilal Powell's out of the argument. Crash 22 says, made it to the championship, so I got to check my roster. Would you guys make any changes to last week? 10-team PPR flex. He's got Cousins against Philly. I think that's a good look. Baldwin and Decker. D. Will,
Cousins?
Freeman. Well, hang on now. He's got Tyrod and Eli as his other choices. And his flex is Julio. He's got Zach Miller at the tight end. Bench there is Forte, West, Yeldon, Eli, and Tyrod.
Okay, it's a huge mistake to play Cousins. I know.
You play Tyrod.
I would play Tyrod in a heartbeat over Cousins. Cousins is a decent quarterback in certain situations, but the Eagles do a lot of things on defense. I know that they're not good. They're not. The matchup is super tasty. But let me tell you something, man. Dude, this is the team that beat Tom Brady up. And if they do that to Cousins, he's going to start throwing picks. They got a pick 6 against Tom Brady.
Yeah, and Dallas isn't no great shape.
No, they're not. So Tyrod's just got a way bigger ceiling, and his floor is much higher as well. So there's no way I would play Cousins at all.
Plus, Cousins isn't running. Tyrod will.
Right, he's a dual threat, sure.
Available Diggs, Ty, and Snead. No, I think. Now, if you want to,
PPR Snead, we talked about that. Is he in the conversation now?
No, I mean, are you going to sit Baldwin and Decker for him? Are you going to sit Julio? No, you're not.
No.
Defense. He can get Miami, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Buffalo, Philly, Chicago. Dude, you know what? Streaming defenses, which is obviously what you do. Just pick the matchup. Play Miami.
Yeah.
You're probably going to be looking at an injured Hasselbeck or a bad Whitehurst.
Yeah.
Great
photo.
You could play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's D against Baltimore. Why not?
Look at that photo.
Yeah, it's a great photo.
Jesus Christ.
Only your plastic surgeon knows for sure, but okay, I'm all
Hard
right
to
with
believe
it.
stuff out there really exists like that.
Dude, that's photoshopped within an inch of its life.
What world is that?
It's a make-believe world where she doesn't really exist.
It is for me, anyway.
You know what? A lot of the girls I date these days are nicknamed JPG, dude.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Go ahead and be JPEG.
ASSJ Daily 12 with another fantastic picture.
Yeah.
Hey guys, I made it through the championship. Squeaked in it by winning by 0.8 points.
That's always the best.
It is, and it really pisses the other guy off too. If I win this week, you guys are getting some Nebraska jelly.
Nice. Love some
Wait a minute,
Nebraska
but if you
jellies.
lose, we get stiffed.
Yeah, what's
The
up with
hell?
that?
First off,
We
quarterback.
got you this far, damn it.
Yeah, you get second place money. Quarterback: Tyrod Taylor, Derek Carr.
That's actually really close.
Derek Carr at San Diego.
Yeah, but they're actually pretty good against fantasy quarterbacks. They're 13th. He's got 9 TDs, 5 picks over his last 4. He hasn't been playing lights out like he was middle of the season. Tyrod is kind of the same player in a slightly worse matchup, I guess. All right, who has better weapons? That's definitely Derek Carr. But Tyrod has that Watkins thing going for
He
him.
does,
God, this is a really tough one, Kevin.
which is why he asked us. If it was easy, he'd have just.
You know
done
what?
it.
Derek Carr has not been playing well over his last 4. Not great over his last 4, but 2 of those games were against Kansas City and Denver. Both top-notch defenses. I'm going with Carr this week to blow up.
It's so close I can't argue with you. I have no case for Tyrod that's better than that.
Yeah, I mean, they both have excellent weapons. So
And if Shady out, it actually hurts Tyrod. So yeah,
Right.
Derek's in there. This is a PPR league. I need to pick 2 running backs in the flex from Buck Allen, Bilal Powell, Chris Ivory, Kristen Michael, and Javon Curse. So 2 running
and a
backs.
Flex. PPR.
Ivory.
Ivory and Powell?
Ooh,
Played 2 jet running backs?
Do you
don't-
do that?
In a PPR, I don't hate it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. Thunder and Lightning, man.
Yeah.
And then
So-
for the flex, I'd probably go with
Buck Allen's got a terrible matchup.
Michael. I can't play Curse.
So I'll go Chris and Michael.
Yeah.
I'll go Chris and Michael there.
So I'm thinking of benching Ivory for Powell at this stage. You're not playing both, man. But if you think they're both worthy of play, I'll consider it. Consider
do.
it. Obviously we're just giving advice. The decision is yours because it's your money, dude. So
Yeah.
if it makes you nervous playing 2 Jets in your backfield, then switch them up as you need. Thanks again for the entertainment and advice all season. Let's kick some ace.
Let's do it.
And that would be
Fantastic
Emily, what's her face? Rather,
I don't know if she had a name. From the chat room, once again, a quick one from Tanner. If you have time, he says, we do. Sit 1 wide receiver, Demaryius Thomas, Cooks, Brandon Marshall, or Tyler Lockett.
okay, not Cooks or Lockett.
Okay, so it's Marshall or Demaryius?
How do people get these
I don't know.
rosters?
Honestly, I could probably get away with sitting Demaryius Thomas here. I can get away with sitting Brandon Cooks here. I think Marshall is as solid as they come.
You got to play Marshall.
I think Lockett, just based on the frickin' Seattle offense, is kind of a must start.
Yeah.
So it's between Demaryius and Cooks for me. Because Demaryius has a terrible quarterback.
You have to sit 1 or 2.
1.
I'd sit Demarius.
I think I would too.
Yeah.
Demaryius Thomas. I can't believe we arrived there.
Well, I mean,
At the start of the list, I would have said Demaryius is definitely not sitting.
They're all four of them wide receiver 1 and 2. There's no flex in there. So we have plenty more of these, and we'll try to get through them quick. Catalina Kid says, "Hey guys, I made it to the ship even with Reed on the bench and underperforming Palmer last week.
Why
Need
would
some
Reed
advice
be on the bench? And Palmer wasn't that
because
bad.
he had Julius Thomas for some reason. I don't know. Need some advice to pull in the win. Standard league, 25 yards per point, no partial points. Touchdowns important. 2-point bonus. Blah blah blah. He's got Big Ben, Antonio Brown, Doug Baldwin. Good there. Lamar Miller and Bilal Powell. Let's see, just picked him up this week to replace Jay Stu. Played Riddick last week. He only got me 1 point. Julius Thomas at New Orleans and wide receiver Allen Hurns on the bench. Dude, you got Jordan Reed there on the bench again. Take Thomas out and put Jordan Reed in.
Take Thomas out versus New Orleans?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. Put Jordan Reed in. Absolutely.
Honestly, I think they're probably really similar, so I don't have a problem with him playing Julius Thomas.
Well,
I like everything else.
yeah, I do too. I mean, I'm sitting here looking at, okay, well, at the flex, obviously you're going to keep Hearns in there. Dude, I would definitely pull Jordan Reed into that starting lineup.
I'm not going to argue with you, but I'm fine with Julius being there too.
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing well. Absolutely.
And he's against New Orleans.
Yeah, but Jordan Reed was really well. Now that Djax is back, dude, Jordan Reed just blows up. I would put him in definitely. Defense: Washington, Philly, or Arizona at Green Bay. Washington.
Yeah, probably the Redskins.
Yeah. Let's see. Sweet matchup. Big Ben or Palmer? Definitely Big Ben. Reed or Thomas at tight end? We just answered that.
Yeah.
Powell or I wonder why when we put Theo Riddick in here, it switches it to Mojo
I
Finger.
think for somebody was talking about him a lot, and I made the swap in our word filter.
Right.
So yeah,
Just as a goof.
yeah.
Okay, so Riddick or
Like
Powell?
3 years ago.
It's like Mojo Finger. Anyway, so Powell really.
Yeah,
for me
Powell.
there. Other guys on waiver wire: Sims, Jennings, Crowell, Antonio Andrews, Alf Marstroik, Bell Tolbert.
Don't hate Jennings, but
I don't.
better
I mean,
matchups out there.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, wait a minute.
Another one from the chat, Kevin.
All right.
Miguel says, Gore, Denard Robinson, or Hightower in a PPR?
Do it again.
Gore, Denard Robinson, or Hightower?
Well, Denard if Yeldon's out.
If Yeldon's out, it's Denard. If it's not, it's probably Hightower.
Probably Hightower. Reluctantly.
Yeah.
I have no trust in Gore at this point.
Yeah.
Edwin168 says, thanks to listening to your show, I've made it to the ship game for the first time this year. Hey!
Nice.
I'm going up against the Juggernaut team. He has Cam, Adrian Peterson, D. Will, Mike Evans, Allen
love
Robinson,
it.
Greg Olson, and Todd Gurley.
I love that D. Will is one of those people now.
Yeah, you got to love that, don't you? On my team, I have Brady, Shark, McFadden, James White, Bryce Brown, OBJ,
Not this week.
Martavis Bryant,
John
Brown,
Tyler
Tyler
Lockett.
Lockett, Edelman, Gronk, Jordan Reed,
Pretty
Gostkowski,
good.
and Steelers. Help me choose 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, and a flex for my best chances. And should I pick up Bortles to start over Brady?
Against New Orleans?
Oh,
Can you do this, Kevin?
Oh, you're going to sit Tom Brady for Bortles against New Orleans?
Can you look? Brady's against the Jets now. Anything could happen in that game. Bortles has a sure thing.
Okay, here's the thing.
He's going to the prom with a porn star
This is me.
this week.
You're playing against a juggernaut.
I'm rolling
You're-
the dice,
You're
buddy.
not gonna beat him by getting conservative.
That's right. I'm rolling the dice.
You got to roll them bones.
Yeah, man.
Make that pickup, dude.
Playing Bortles, Blake Bortles over Tom Brady in the championship game. Kevin Moore, say it so.
It's so. I'll tell you what,
Dude,
even if you don't win,
this is why I love this game.
people will be talking about your industrial-sized balls in that
Yeah.
league from here to the end of time.
This is why I love this game. Because at the beginning of the season, there is no way we could have predicted that we would, week 16 championship game, be playing Blake Bortles over Tom freaking Brady.
I'm not even sure Blake Bortles was drafted in most leagues.
Right. No, I don't think he was.
Yeah. All right, so
Amazing.
we locked down the quarterback situation. So now we need 2 running backs out of that list. So
Shark
obviously,
and McFadden?
yeah, I think so because the other choices are not very good. So 2 wide receivers. Obviously, it's going to be Bryant.
Bryant, and is it Brown or Lockett?
Well, I think it's Lockett.
Because of the finger. Okay.
Well, yeah, and Edelman I don't think is going to play. Now here's the thing: you don't list a tight end in here.
You're playing Gronk.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you have a flex, I'd play Jordan Reed. in the flex.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
Over Brown.
Yeah.
Choices, dude, you got to roll those dice.
Okay. All right.
You know Reed's going to produce.
right.
John Brown may not. So if you have a flex, play Jordan Reed, but definitely Gronk because you're tight end. And the defense, Steelers D, yeah, that's fine. Let's see. Who else going to pick up from waivers to help my lineup?
I
This
think
is
you're
a
good,
standard
dude. I
league.
mean, honestly,
Yeah, you're not going to win by playing
the
conservative.
the only player I don't like that much is McFadden.
Yeah, well, your other choice is Bryce Brown. You know,
Right. So if somebody on waivers you can replace McFadden with, fine. But I think they're probably scrawed there.
Yeah. Last question. Bucking. Oh, well, let me refresh. It may not be the last question. It is not.
It is not.
Gentlemen, the Magic Formula has been kind to me this year. One went away from winning the league. Good for you. With Odell now upheld suspension and some injuries, I'd appreciate some help getting the lineup. Setting the lineup. Need to pick 2 running backs and a wide receiver from these: Hightower, McFadden, Shoelace, and Kristen Michael.
So again, Denard Robinson if Yeldon doesn't play.
Right.
I guess it's McFadden.
It is McFadden, dude. It's got to be.
So and if Yeldon plays, I guess it's Kristen Michael. Because if Yeldon plays, I think Robinson he's already questionable. So I think Yeldon plays. I think he doesn't see much time, and I think Kristen Michael's the guy you got to play.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
It's ugly, but
So
there's
that.
So wide receiver, do you play Wheaton, Lockett, or Edelman? I don't think Edelman's playing. So,
But even if he did, I'd probably
if Edelman's playing, I'm playing Edelman.
Wheaton though, man. Here's the thing: it's a great matchup for him, but I still have to play Tyler Lockett.
He says other starting wide receiver is Baldwin, and I was hesitant to go all
Oh,
in.
F that.
Well, dude, like I said, 3 touchdowns last weekend from your receivers.
Yeah.
If you play Lockett,
16 TDs. Russell Wilson has thrown in the past 4 games. 16.
right? Baldwin and Lockett have caught, 13 touchdowns
Something
in the
like
last
that.
4 games.
Yeah.
I think between the two of them.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
You know, just saying. Ballin' Dollin says, hello from Steven on the left coast. Thanks to you and some of my own masterful moves, me and my Pops made the finals. Hey, good for you and good for Pops. I have one last question on the year, and if we win, some Pliny will be headed your way.
well.
Dude.
All right.
Good God. Already have
this is
Antonio
it,
Brown. I
Kevin.
know.
This is our friggin'
Oh, the other dude in Indy's.
I know, but this is our shining moment.
This is a guy in California who just goes down to the store and there's Pliny
And
on
just
the
picks
shelf.
it up, yeah.
Anyway, already have Antonio Brown. Pick 2 more. Full point PPR. I'm glad I refreshed to get this.
Yeah.
Eric Decker,
they're all
Kamar
awesome.
Aiken, John Brown, Brandon Cooks.
So I love Kamar Aiken this week. I love John Brown too, but I'm playing Decker and Cooks.
I couldn't agree more. It's
Right?
Decker. It's definitely Decker.
I'm playing Cooks, dude.
And
I mean,
Cooks as
listen,
well.
I think Kamar Aiken's probably a really good play as well.
Well, here's this. If Breeze is out, then it's Aiken.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, Breeze is, he's
And honestly,
going to play. But
honestly, I'm fine with John Brown being there too. But
yeah.
okay.
But once again, thanks for all your help. And he says Merry Christmas, and I believe him.
Yeah.
Wow, dude. Hope he wins. And then we get some
too.
Pliny up in this piece.
Dude, we went really long tonight answering all these questions for y'all.
That's what it's championship week, man. What are we
Gotta
going to
do
do? Not answer questions?
Gotta do it.
Right. So,
And we'll
good
be
luck
back
to you
on
guys.
Saturday. Have a Merry Christmas, everyone.
Indeed.
If you celebrate that sort of thing.
Hopefully Santa Claus brings you everything you want. And if you are not celebrating Christmas, enjoy your, dinner out.
Whatever. Yeah.
On
whatever else you do
on
that day.
Friday.
Sure.
Yeah, it's Friday. All right, bitches. Have a good Christmas. Have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the games. The game tomorrow night, Christmas Eve. Be good. Make
be
those
fun.
cookies.
Should be fun.
Send us some Pliny. Pliny.
Pliny.
All right. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you later. Peace.